eye-patch stranger tells Flaffer to rejoice, because right now she's officially a free woman. The camera snaps over to the former Saint Flaffer down on her knees as the proclamation blasts through the air, declaring she's been banished right there on the spot. So get this, Flaffer, the saint of the kingdom of harvest, crowned in legend and worshipped like destiny. A saint is someone who channels holy power through prayer, and she can wipe out root-rotting rain, summon clear sunny skies, and turn dead, barren wastelands into rich, fertile soil. Pretty much the reason the nation could even stand at all, indispensable to its survival. Flaffer was raised in an orphanage, growing up surrounded by loss and second chances. When she turned 3, the orphanage got marked for demolition, and every single person except her was kicked out of the country. Because she carried holy power in her veins, they dragged her straight to the royal palace. And that's when the horror kicks in. She's thrown into brutal dungeon confinement, left to endure it all. After being starved all day for so long, he finally got fed, and now his body is trying to hang onto even the tiniest bit of strength, struggling just to keep his stamina alive. That's where her holy power vanished without a warning. On the dungeon's bare, gritty floor, Flaffer secretly planted and nurtured vegetables where no one would ever expect. And somehow this is how she manages to patch up her missing nutrition. And His Majesty Jarful got wind of it. Flaffer gets caught clutching her vegetables and her eyes go wide with shock. Then someone slams her for using holy power for selfish gain, and right in front of her, the plants get wrecked. Jarful leans in and tells her, if you've got time to pretend you're a farmer, then use that power for the kingdom, no excuses. Meanwhile, a guard scrutinizes the vegetables and blurts out that they're honestly top-notch. Since Flaffer can't use her holy powers anymore, they slap a ban on her growing any vegetables. The guard storms in at feeding time, tells her to savor every rotten bite, then slams her with useless trash, like it plenty good enough for her. Flaffer stares at the spoiled food, her shoulders easing because it's still edible, and she knows she has to force down even a little something to get through the day. Then Flaffer's cell door swings open and icy rain blasts in. She's instantly drenched, water roaring down her face and body as the outside world hits her like a shockwave. Meanwhile, Jarful stares down at Flaffer's collapsed, starving body with pure disgust, snarling that she's just as scrawny and creepy as he'd predicted. He tells her she's got zero value at Ithia and calls her a total waste of space. Flaffer sprawls in agony, stomach churning, as Jarful keeps going, snarling that she busted her tail to hand a trashy girl like her the title of saintess. And still, instead of paying it back, she greedily hoards her holy power all to herself. Jarful barks that he'll deliver a fitting punishment any moment now, and he orders her to brace herself. The whip crashes down, hard, brutal, and lightning fast. Flappers slammed in again and again, striking with relentless force. Tears poured down her face as the punishment hit. Once the beating wraps up, Jarful leans in and tells her, now your holy power's gone, you're nothing but trash, then barks that she has to get out, right now. Flaffer shrugs off every worry, because right now she's so drained she can barely move, and even leaving the palace feels impossible. But Jarful swears he'll send a carriage handler right up to the border. He even adds this, maybe the rest of the trash from her orphanage is still alive somewhere overseas, and if she keeps wandering long enough, she might finally run into them again. Flaffer panics, begging him to wait just a few more days and let her bask in the sun. She swears her power will come back if he lets her. But Jarful shuts her down instantly, declaring the decision is already made. He leans in and tells her, don't worry, besides you, the nobility is packed with real saintesses. Hold up, slam that like button, then smash subscribe. For more hidden manga gems, now I dare you to comment. Comment below, I'm loving this, bet most of you feel the same, huh? So if you're not doing it, then don't. Got it, alright, let's keep rolling. Then Flaffer spots it, those girls with basically no power at all are stepping in for her, and panic hits as she fears they'll get trapped the way she did. Suddenly, one of the noble saintesses snaps up and declares its sheer arrogance. How dare a lowly saintess like Flaffer stand on the same playing field as saintesses like them, the highborn. The eye-patched figure snaps an order to Flaffer, get in that carriage right now. Then a noble woman steps in, promises that from this point on they'll deliver the sun's blessings instead of that trash, and tells her to finally relax. Talk's done and Flaffer gets yanked into the carriage, no questions asked. As it tears away, leaving everything behind. The one with the eye patch leans in and orders her to really hear the people's voices, then face the brutal truth of how pointless her life is. And with Flaffer slumped inside, the carriage rumbles out of the palace, shattered and beaten. A carriage rattles down the streets hauling Flaffer toward the border, and as she passes, the crowd packs the road and screams insults at her. One guy yells that their taxes were wasted on someone like her, while another sneers that she even had the nerve to call herself a saint. They spot her and may she what? Blood and scratches flew in through the carriage window and he spat, "You're nothing but a bag of bones," like she was supposed to be a saint. The crowd turns vicious in seconds, someone screams for her to get out of the kingdom of harvest, and another barks that she'll never be welcome back again. Flaffer sits there, tears pouring down her face, and the truth hits at last, none of it mattered. Someone shoots Flaffer a concerned look, asking what's wrong and if she's car sick because she's gone pale, and Flaffer swears, week after week, that she feels like she's gonna throw up. The other person nods, then suddenly announces they'll put her. Flaffer jolts with terror, just as she's finally pulled out of her misery. She demands to know why they'd do something like that, and he snaps back that she's nothing but a tax thief, just another criminal who has to pay for every sin. Flaffer screams for them to stop, then the carriage door bursts open and she gets flung out. She warned her, "If you throw up in there, count your life as already over." The carriage driver announces he's about to bail, then grabs Flaffer's attention and tells her, "Stay alive, do your best." She collapses flat to the ground as the carriage wheels roar off, sprawled in the dirt, thinking, "This is it, this is goodbye to my life." As her consciousness slips away, she clings to one last wish, just one more time, then the carriage vanishes into the horizon. She remembers her older brother from the orphanage, like it's burned into her bones. She finally understood, what she truly wanted was just one person with a warm, kind heart. Something snaps Flaffer awake, she hears the sound and it pulls her attention in. Faint, fragile sound slips out as sensation crawls back into her body. Something brushing her arm, and her gaze snaps into sharper focus. And then she spots a tiny slime-like creature lurking nearby. Then the creature crushes them with brutal pain, silencing any hope as screams rip out again and again. Suddenly, the scene snaps to Flaffer sprawled in a bed while a man stands over her telling her to calm down, swear she'll feel better soon. Flaffer jolts, overwhelmed and confused, and blurts, "Wait, who are you exactly?" The man introduces himself as the royal palace chief physician, serving straight under the king of Riverside, and then he tells her flat out that His Majesty has ordered him to examine her. The physician tells Flaffer, "Show me that cute face and I'll say you're totally fine." Flaffer beams at the kindness and the physician tells her, "I'll go report to His Majesty," then quietly orders, "But you stay in bed a little longer just to be safe." He storms out of the room and Flaffer just lies there, blinking like his brain can't catch up. She remembers getting kicked out of the Harvest Kingdom, knowing she was about to die on the roadside, until her vision blurred and she fainted. She swivels her head in the unfamiliar Riverside Kingdom room, trying to make sense of where she landed. Later, Flaffer jolts awake in a cozy bed, safe and sound. She jolts upright and frantically feels the sheets beneath her. She's totally blown away by how soft everything feels, and she says it's unreal, like she's sinking into a cloud of pure fluff. Then a voice cuts in and tells her, "Looks like you're finally awake." Two men tower in front of her and one leans in, asking, "So, how are you really feeling?" Flaffer tilts his head up and locks onto the man. Wow, those golden hair strands make him look seriously handsome. He tells her she was crumpled in the wasteland and she's been passed out for days. But Flaffer just keeps blurting out how fluffy and ridiculously amazing that bed feels. The man laughs and admits he was only checking on her physical condition. Fluffer realizes she screwed up, then blurts that the nausea is gone and suddenly she feels way better. She blurts, "Who are you? And are you the one who saved me?" Then someone snaps at her to watch her mouth and suddenly she realizes exactly who he is. The man thunders his name, His Majesty Force Riverside, and declares himself the king of the Riverside Kingdom. Flaffer snaps to it in sheer shock, she's talking to the king. Flaffer blurts out an apology for her rudeness and earnestly thanks him for saving her. But King Force tells her don't stress it. He's basically a novice king in name only because everyone around him keeps bailing him out. Then he demands to know why she crumpled in the middle of a barren wasteland like that. Flaffer pauses, unsure of what to make of him, and quietly thinks he doesn't feel like a bad person. But she can't stop wondering if she should finally spill the truth to him. Flaffer panics that she might still be part of the Harvest Kingdom, and he can't stop himself. He's checking to see if she'll accidentally spill something. King Force tells her if it's too hard to say, don't force yourself to answer. But he only wants one answer, can she really eat? Flaffer freezes with total confusion, like that question just blew his mind. King Force answers, of course, Then Flaffer stammers like crazy, blurting out if the king means he wants to team up with someone like her. He leans in and tells her it's completely natural. Flaffer thanks him from the bottom of his heart. The story cuts to a massive, fancy feast sprawled across the table, and Flaffer just freezes, staring at the mountain of food like, wait, can I really eat all of this? King puts on a bold smile and gestures at the huge spread of food, telling Flaffer to go all out, because this table is piled with dishes meant to last several days. Flaffer takes one bite and her eyes flare with pure delight, then she blurts out that she's never tasted anything this delicious in her life. King Forrest calls her Lady Flaffer and asks how she's been eating all this time. Flaffer tells him she had porridge, but it was so scorching she couldn't even hold it with her hands. Normally, she just grabs her food and tears into it with huge bites. Meanwhile, the camera cuts to a fork as someone teaches the right way to use it. Flaffer snaps her gaze up to King Force, and raw emotion burns in her eyes, wondering how someone like His Majesty could possibly be that kind to someone like her. King Forrest replies that helping people who are in need is just what he does naturally, but he makes it clear he wouldn't lift a finger for anyone. Then King Force's face twists with confusion as she blurts, "What are you talking about?" Flaffer pulls up to the table, smiles at him, and says that this meal will keep her going for 3 more days. King Force tells her, "Don't worry, tomorrow we'll have breakfast ready for you too." He presses her, asking if she's really sure, because he wants her to stay right here in the palace until her strength fully comes back. King Force tells her, "Listen, if you're gonna make this deal, you'd better heal up fast." Flaffer shoots back her thanks, voice cracking as she humbly accepts his order. Tears started to well up in her eye. Camera swings back as King Forrest strides away from the table where Flaffer sits all alone. The panel slams shut on a nighttime exterior shot of the palace, looming like a threat in the dark. Later, Flaffer sinks into an insanely soft bed, convinced it all felt like a wild dream, and she raves that the Fukin is ridiculously fluffy, pure bliss. She stares back on the kindness he couldn't help but show, because even though His Majesty forced him, she still remembers him standing right beside her bed. Crawling into bed, she stares at the ceiling and mutters that she's got to learn to use a knife and fork the right way, because His Majesty actually went out of his way to teach her. In the Kingdom of Harvest, a man shouts to say hello to Mary, the white-haired girl who looks like Flaffer. She rushes up through the garden and greets him as uncle, and then, meanwhile, the story cuts to the throne room where a noble saintess is raising a toast with King Jarfal, gloating that it feels amazing to finally be done with that useless trash. Then she sneers about the orphanage fake, and vows that as a duke's daughter she'll prove the real power of a saint, all for the country's sake. Then the noble saintess keeps talking to the king, demanding he boost the saint's pay right as someone blurts out in stunned shock. But she insists, raise the prize and people will surge with motivation, and she's sure they can make the whole country even more prosperous. The king hesitates like he can't decide. Then, right when the sky opens, rain pours over the Kingdom of Harvest, and one man just stares in awe, muttering that wonders never stop. Back in the Kingdom of Riverside, Flaffer jolts awake in her bed, then a voice snaps, "Lady Furifer," and a dark-haired maid slips into the room. He greets her and says good morning, and the maid swoops in to introduce herself as Aqua, telling her she'll be the one handling Flaffer's personal needs. Flaffer drags himself up and mumbles a sleepy good morning, like he's still half asleep. Aqua grabs Flaffer by the sleeve, drags her along, and marches her straight into the bathhouse. They should start there and make sure her body is spotless and clean. Flaffer is absolutely stunned by this extravagant bath, like she's never seen anything like it before. Aqua grins and says they can clean her body and her clothes right here together, then begs her please to hand over the clothes. Aqua straight up tells everyone, "Yeah, I'm Flaffer's caretaker of course." But Flaffer can't shake the feeling. Why is she being so sweet? Aqua orders Flaffer to drop the polite act with her. She wants Flaffer to breathe easy, drop the formalities, and stop worrying. Flaffer tells everyone, "I'll do my best to skip the formal talk, okay?" Aqua snaps back to her senses and pours out her gratitude. Aqua promises she'll ditch the stiffness too, then hops into the bath with Flaffer, while the other maids jump in to help scrub her clean. After her bath, Flaffer slips into fresh new clothes and gushes, "These are so cute." Aqua grins and says the outfit fits her perfectly, then Flaffer tries to launch into a formal thank you, stops mid-sentence and just blurts, "Thanks." Someone tells Flaffer she's got to stay in this room from today on, and she immediately whips her head around, stunned by how luxurious it all is. After everything they've done for her, she finally steps up and declares she wants to repay the people of this country. She can't stop wondering, once a saint burns through their power, does it ever come roaring back? Then Flaffer can't wait, she bursts out that she wants to tackle farm work. Aqua jumps in with a huge nod, saying she's got plenty to call out to Flaffer, and if she wants, she can even use the farm sitting right behind the royal palace. Aqua leans in and asks if Flaffer even knows how to farm, snapping that veggies won't grow just because she plants the leaves. Aqua shrugs and decides, fine, I'll connect with nature, then tells His Majesty she'll let him know. Flaffer remembers the dungeon miracle, how you could grow delicious vegetables just by planting leaves, and now she's staring at the soil like, do they grow the same way or does the dirt change everything? Still, she's buzzing with excitement to get her hands dirty. Then the sky opens up and rain slams down in sheets. Flaffer says it's a total long shot, but she's going to take the chance anyway. Praying the Riverside Kingdom and the sun finally stop clashing and start getting along. Suddenly someone shouts Lady Fur Fur and shakes her awake. Aqua blurts urgently that they have to look outside, right now. The rain finally quit just like that. Aqua tells him that in the Riverside Kingdom, rain stopping is insanely rare. Flaffer couldn't stop wondering if her holy power truly vanished, or if it was just a cruel coincidence. Meanwhile, someone wonders if Lady Flaffer offers prayers too, and Aqua answers, His Majesty prays all the time. Flaffer's stunned when he hears His Majesty's guard can do this, then Aqua drops the truth. Some old benefactor used to pull the same move. And she's heard it's a wish meant to lift the whole kingdom higher. Aqua blurts that it's what they say so he doesn't forget that person, and Flaffer just freezes in pure, stunned disbelief. She gasps when the massive farm comes into view, and Aqua blurts out just how insanely huge it is. Flaffer grins at the sky clearing up and declares, we should do this. And he immediately faceplants into the dirt. Aqua leans in as Flaffer digs in and starts turning the soil, and she can't help thinking, what a reckless, bold move. Now Flaffer drives the leaves straight into the farm's soil. Aqua stares with jittery eyes and blurts that she's planted the leaves, but Flaffer waves it off like, nah, it's fine. Aqua flashes a grin and tells her to enjoy herself, swearing it doesn't matter if the plants never sprout, because they'll just feed the soil anyway, no waste, no stress. And she smirks that Flaffer's lasted this long by living exactly like this. Finally, Flaffer slams her hands together and prays at the farm, begging for juicy, healthy vegetables to sprout and thrive. Hawkeye leans in and asks if Flaffer had a good time, and Flaffer shoots back with pure excitement. She raved about the amazing soil she found and shot Aqua a heartfelt thank you for helping her get it. Aqua lights up when she hears that, then she's like, cool, let's head back to the palace so you can get cleaned up since you're totally muddy. Flaffer shoots her an apology for getting that dirty in the first place. At night the throne room went cold and quiet. Aqua rushes to King Forest and spills everything that went down at the farm. King Forest tells Aqua to let Flaffer go to the farm anytime she wants, and right when someone says the rain miraculously quit the second she wished it, everyone goes quiet because this girl is seriously mysterious. The king shrugs and tells her she can use the farm behind the royal palace however she wants for now, saying they're already stretched thin from all the long rains they've been stuck in lately. Then Aqua cuts in and asks if he's doing it because he wants Lady Flaffer, his favorite, right there as close as he possibly can. She leans in and asks straight up, so are you falling for me? King Force immediately shoots that down. Aqua keeps glancing around and presses him, asking if this isn't love, then she smirks and goes, come on, when a king treats one woman like this, it has to mean something. King Force stares in shock at the accusation and Aqua presses on, she knows he's kind, but right now their country is drowning in a brutal food shortage. She warns that once the people realize he's giving special favor to a foreigner, anger will explode and dissenting voices will rise everywhere. King Force says he gets exactly what she means. Then King finally admits that at first, he only meant to offer treatment and meals. He remembers the moment on his way back to the country, he spotted Flaffer's sleeping face and something inside him snapped into place. Aqua's like, so you're swapping Flaffer in as a lookalike for the person you've been hunting this whole time, and she calls that basically cheating, then King Forest snaps, no, it's not. Aqua snaps that it's not love and King Forest trails off, then blurts, we look so alike though. He insists it's absolutely not some secret plan to give Lady Flaffer special treatment and says he just wants to repay the debt of gratitude for being raised here, starting with all his people. He tells them he wasn't even born in this land, yet they crowned him its king, and as soon as the truth hits, emotion floods his face as he admits that even so, he couldn't shake the feeling it was pure fate the second he saw her. Aqua hits back like, that's exactly what I love, every single piece of it. King Force shuts that down again, straight up denying it. King Force stares back at his choice to save Flaffer, convinced to his bones that something, whatever it was, had been screaming that she was the only person he absolutely had to get out alive. Back in the present, Aqua decides to hit the pause button for now and stop pushing it. King Forest thanks him for noticing how deep the people's trust runs, and she says if he really feels that way, everyone will understand. Then King Forest drops his pride, apologizes, and promises he'll foot the bill. But as Aqua digs into the situation, something about Flaffer's conditions suddenly throws her off. Aqua tells King Forest she fears Lady Flaffer might have been abused, and King Forest snaps back in total shock, yelling, "What did you just say?" This morning in the Grand Bath, Aqua spotted bruises all over Flaffer's body, snapped and demanded where they came from, and said this time the damage was way too severe. Then she wondered if he's been taking hits like this every single day. Aqua keeps pressing, saying those injuries weren't a one-time accident at all, they'd been done again and again over time. King Force stayed deadly quiet as she pointed out, straight to them, just how wrecked Flaffer looked when they finally found her. Aqua blurts out that if Flaffer won't even try to ask for help, she's either completely given up on humanity or she's holding back because she's scared she'll be a burden. And then, out of nowhere, someone comes sprinting and yelling that the king is needed. They blurted that everything was awful and begged them to come right now, and Aqua shot back, "Okay, what happened?" They head to the farm tucked behind the palace and bam, it's unrecognizable. Where Flaffer once planted leaves, the ground now bursts with thriving vegetables and piled high crops. King Forest and Aqua froze in stunned silence, locked on the miraculous garden stretching out in front of them. Aqua can't stop staring, thinking, this is unreal. Right before King Force snaps her name out loud, Aqua answers almost certainly. Lady Flaffer, a full-on saint, she's shown radiant in her glowing saint's outfit, and that image basically screams the truth about who she really is. Later on, Flaffer walks up to King Force with a big grin and calls out, "Good morning, your majesty." She's chowing down like crazy, mouth stuffed as she talks, and King Force finally snaps, "Hey, swallow first before you speak." He admits he's genuinely relieved she's bounced back, and Flaffer shoots back that it's all because of him. Then King Forest leans in and tells Flaffer, "I need a favor from you today." He wants to buy all the veggies she's grown, and when he says it, Flaffer's jaw drops in total shock. King Forest breaks it down. The Riverside Kingdom's rain keeps the crops from growing, so for now, they've been forced to buy vegetables from the neighboring Harvest Kingdom at insane prices. But here's the wild part, Flaffer somehow grew those gorgeous vegetables in one single day. The miraculous garden is basically proof she's got real talent. Flaffer reveals she started growing vegetables just to keep herself alive, and she can't help but ask if she's truly allowed to keep doing what she loves because that would be the dream. King Forest gives her the confirmation. King Forest grips Flaffer's hands and promises, staying at the royal palace forever would be a huge help so you can keep farming. But then Flaffer fires back, saying she was seconds away from asking him the exact same thing herself. King Forest leans in and demands, "Are you serious?" Then he asks if she'll take gold coins for the payment, and Flaffer snaps back that 1 gold coin is plenty for the vegetables she grew, until she sees the pile he's offering and her jaw drops. But then Flaffer drops the truth, 1 single coin covers every vegetable she'll grow from here on out. King Force snaps that it's way too cheap no matter how she spins the numbers, and Flaffer shoots back that she can't take the money at all, farming is just her hobby. She'll even admit it, this gold coin is gorgeous, so she decides to snag just one and deck her room with it. King Forest keeps repeating it, decorate, over and over like it's a command he can't stop. Totally thrown off, he blurts out, "Is it okay if I only give her half the vegetables today?" Then he can't stop thinking about what she'll do with the rest. Flaffer bursts out that she was dead serious about ripping off the leaves and replanting them in the soil, just to make them grow back again. King Force leans in as she keeps talking, saying the leafy parts are great but sticking in the core is what makes them bounce back, thriving like crazy. Flaffer chimes in that the veggies they got tasted amazing too, and once you wash them fresh with water and eat them right away, it's downright irresistible. The two of them lock eyes, and in that instant, everything clicks like they've finally found the same pulse. King Forest can't help but admire how deeply Flaffer loves vegetables, and when Flaffer apologizes for rambling about such strange little things, King Forest just stares back and goes, "Wait, why are you apologizing?" Then King Force clocks that Flaffer's face is flushed, and Flaffer quickly swears it's all in his own head. King Force leans in and tells Flaffer, "Because of you, we can finally start handing out domestic food little by little, so maybe we can save this country for real." He honestly pours out his gratitude to her for everything she's done. But Flaffer goes straight to King Forest and tells him, "I saved her life," and then drops the wild part, "He even let her farm like she's always dreamed." She can't stop smiling, saying, "I've never been this happy in my life." She slips her hand into his as she talks, and Fluffer keeps going, telling him that even if it's just tiny steps from here on out, she truly hopes she'll be able to pay him back someday. Her face lit up with real gratitude and steely determination. Then Fluffer shot forward, beaming as he hoisted an earthworm and shouted, "I found Mr. Earthworm." A giant castle tower looms in the back while she stares with pure awe. Then Aqua snaps into panic, blurting out how Lady Furifura could possibly handle earthworms like that, and Flaffer just smiles and explains they're harmless, because those little wrigglers are just here to till the soil for them. Later, someone spots a ladybug and Flaffer panics, promising she'll be careful, until Aqua steps in, sharp and strict, demanding she stop doing it from now on. Meanwhile, Flaffer is shown kneeling in the garden, begging the earth to bless his vegetables and make them grow strong and healthy. She pauses and thinks, "I'm supposed to be using my power," but she feels zero fatigue at all. Then the memory hits when she was locked up, because even the tiniest prayer would rip the strength right out of her body, and she can't shake the fear that maybe her holy power is truly gone. In the present day, Aqua spots something seriously wrong and blurts out, "Hey, what's going on?" Flaffer finally admits she's got a goal in mind, it's just completely falling apart in real time. Flaffer's buzzing with excitement, thinking she can't wait to shock His Majesty and Aqua with the vegetables, but Aqua smirks and says, "You surprise us every single day," and then points out, "like yesterday." A huge basket of gorgeous veggies sits on display, Lady Flaffer's plants, ready for harvest by evening, like the garden knew exactly what it was doing. Flaffer freezes in total disbelief, blurting out, "Did we really grow that fast?" and staring around like, "Man, the Riverside Kingdom is unbelievably mysterious." Meanwhile, inside the lab, Ock kept pushing his lecture on Flaffer, demanding for the 100th time how many times she had to be told that gold coins aren't for decoration, while Flaffer just waved it off, insisting they're too gorgeous to ignore. Then Aqua blurts out, "Aren't we supposed to be doing reading and writing lessons today?" And Flaffer jumps in, totally hyped, shouting that she really wants to learn how to read books. Hawkeye waves Lady Flaffer over and drops the bombshell that they've got a special guest instructor here today, and Flaffer's totally thrown off by the news. Just then, King Forest bursts into the room and declares that today he'll teach her to read and write. He's counting on her, no doubt. Flaffer is totally stunned, blurting out why His Majesty is even here. Then later they hit the hallway. Flaffer told Aqua she worked her tail off yesterday, then begged her, "Please just try eating that vegetable." Aqua takes a bite, jolts with surprise, and then realizes these are the very veggies grown by Lord Furither. She's stunned, blurting that she's never tasted veggies this sweet and bursting with flavor, and somehow with every bite her exhaustion starts to melt away. Meanwhile, King Forest, curled up in the library, admits he feels the exact same thing, and he's convinced those vegetables Lord Fear of Fear grows must have some kind of healing power. King Forest theorizes that either Flaffer doesn't even realize what she can do, or maybe she got treated so badly that her healing powers just couldn't keep up. Aqua thinks it through and admits, yeah, that actually checks out. Later on, Aqua goes straight to King Forest and tells him that Lady Furufur is desperate to learn how to read and write. King Forest leans in and demands to know Flaffer's schedule for tomorrow, then promises he'll handle Lady Fear of Fear himself, just to make it happen. Flaffer shrugs it off, saying it's totally fine, and shoots back, "Are you not too busy, Your Majesty?" King Force shoots back, "Don't worry, I'll handle it." And with a loud, dramatic vow, he declares that once he promises something, it's done, so he's starting right now to knock out every bit of tomorrow's work. Later, King Force drops the bombshell that he snagged a head start days ago, and Flaffer finally realizes he didn't just stumble into the plan, he was baiting this whole scheme from the beginning. King Force says, "At this pace, we'll be done soon," then grins that he's feeling absolutely amazing today thanks to all those veggies. Flaffer figures she's got no choice but to step in right now, while King Forest busts his butt through piles of paperwork and everyone else can't stop praising him as a total lifesaver. Meanwhile, Flaffer skips through the halls humming like nothing can touch her, then King Force tells her it's time to get moving and she nods, ready to start. Two of them huddle tight at the table, shuffling and flapping like they can't stay still. Flaffer finally snaps to it. He and the other person are sitting way too close for comfort. Her heart starts hammering like it's trying to break out. But then she snaps back, stops herself and reminds herself, this isn't the moment to lose focus because if he's taking the time to teach her, she's got to take every second seriously. King Forged thrusts a paper into her hands and demands she read it. He breaks it down as an alphabet chart and says he used this exact same chart to learn how to read and write back when he was just starting. Then King Forest starts firing off letter quizzes at her, barking out different characters, while Flaffer locks in every single one and nails the answers. And she's already picking it up fast. Flaffler swears she's basically memorized the basics. Noticing the way His Majesty teaches is super easy to follow, King Force tells her she doesn't need to hurry, because she's only read it once. King Force is like, alright, how about we kick things off with a quick quiz? He quizzes her with a bunch of letters, and she nails every single one with no flinching. King Forest is left speechless as he tells her she nailed every single question, and Flaffer practically explodes with excitement, thanking him non-stop, while King Forest just can't wrap his head around it. Telling him he's only read it once and that's wild, because he's really going out of his way to teach her, and she adds, oh, and there's also. King Force drops one more bombshell. He says she'll have to memorize it in one single shot, and right after that, Flaffer fires back, asking if there's a punishment waiting for her if she doesn't. She keeps pressing for the truth. If she doesn't memorize every word of the royal lines perfectly, they'll punish her, right? King Forest looks completely thrown off and demands she say it again, then turns to Flaffer and keeps pushing. Is that really how you've been treated over and over? Until he finally hammers, have you been getting hurt all this time? Suddenly, Flaffer's gut drops. She can't shake the feeling that something she said sounded off, and she starts wondering if she messed up. She blurts out, tell me, if you're getting punished for this, is that really normal? Flaffer quickly scrambles to fix the damage, insisting that when she says punishment she doesn't mean anything wild, just maybe getting a little less food or something along those lines. King Force listens to her every word, then snaps, who on earth did those awful things to me? Flaffer hesitates because deep down she really wants to tell him. But she can't shake the fear that if tensions between their countries explode because of her, it'll unleash a whole chain reaction of disaster. But King Force tells her, if you don't want to say it, you don't have to, and then he reminds her, it's fine if she can't get it perfect on the first try, mistakes are part of it. Flaffer's mind is blown, his understanding response hits him like a shockwave. King Forest says mistakes are just part of being human and even he screws up sometimes. But the twist is, he's never been slammed with harsh blame every single time it happens, and Flaffer soaks it all in like, wait, is that really true? King Forest makes it crystal clear, he'll never snap at her just because she messes up once or twice. Suddenly, tears burst down Flaffer's face, hit by the sheer weight of kindness that crushed him. King Forest pulls her in close, softening his voice as he reassures her, because he knows she's carried more than anyone should. Between her tears, Flaffer choked out that it was absolutely brutal. Then she finally grasps it, she's being freed from every ounce of that suffering. A chilling image of her trapped behind prison bars flashes in her mind, King Force's words hammering through her head, so she realizes she doesn't have to fear that dungeon anymore. Flaffer can't stop thinking about it, because this same person really came through for her later on. Someone says, hey, today's a special day, so dress up like crazy and make it count. Flaffer stared at herself in those fancy clothes and blurted, is this weird? Then she worried it might not be okay for her to dress like that until the person beside her snapped back, no way, this looks perfect on you. Flaffer stood in the palace corridor in a flower-decked elegant gown, then declared she was leaving right now. Someone shouts after her, calling her Lord Furifer, and she's like, wait, what in the world could His Majesty have to say to her that's so special? Could be, as she strides toward the throne room. The moment she steps into the throne room, King Force grins and tells Flaffer, I only needed one thing, some way to thank you. And somehow he's wearing even more royalty than usual today. Flaffer can't help it and asks what he's talking about with the reward. And King Forest lays it out when they handed out the farm's vegetables. He put his trust in her, and every single person who ate them snapped back their vigor on the spot. Turns out the vegetables she grew had some insane special power hidden in them. Flaffer finally admits she wasn't plotting anything, she was just having a blast playing in the dirt and with the veggies, but King Forest steps forward in the throne room anyway and proudly declares that he wants to formally commend her for it. King Force steps in, thunders out his thanks for saving his people, and promises he'll give everything for the kingdom, while Flaffer, all nerves, scrambles to say she'll do her best. And King Force says he's buzzing about what she's going to do next, but after all the money, he hands her something even more powerful. A shiny royal medal stamped with her name, engraved in bold and shining detail. The medal tags her identity, and once she's got it, she can hit all kinds of facilities for free. King Forest adds that the state-run hot springs are free for everyone too. Flaffer can barely contain their excitement as they realize they've got a totally different kind of charm compared to the grand baths in the royal palace. Aqua spots it instantly, they're headed straight for the hot springs. And Flaffer can barely contain herself as she eagerly confirms, "I can't wait." Outside, Aqua snaps at Flaffer to stop shouting and running around like she always does in the palace baths, and Flaffer promises she'll behave before practically begging Aqua to hop in with them too. Someone jokes they could skip the carriage, but the second Flaffer spots the horse towing it, everything changes. She beams and greets the animal like it's a long-lost friend, then slips in close to pet it. But someone shoots her a warning, "Stay back, don't get too close." The horse nuzzles the flapper and she bursts into laughter, yelling that it tickles. Meanwhile, as Aqua glares with that awkward look, Flaffer leans in and asks what's wrong, and Aqua snaps at her for being reckless. She confesses she never thought Flaffer would have the kind of charm animals actually like, and Flaffer swears the horse looked like it wanted belly rubs before it ever worked. So when Aqua asks how she could possibly tell, Flaffer just shrugs and says it's all a feeling. Later in the carriage, Flaffer bursts into a happy hum, sounding like she's floating on cloud 9. Flaffer lingered outside the public bathhouse, staring at the thin crowd, and her frown deepened when she realized there weren't nearly as many people as she'd expected. After all, she'd heard the common folk all went to bathe here. Aqua shoots back, asking what she means, then jokes that maybe everyone's just got a thing against bad guys. Flaffer expected a packed crowd and non-stop chaos, but when Aqua says it's been a while since she's been here too, the truth hits: there are barely any people around at all. She assumes it's just money, but Flaffer refuses to believe that's the real reason. As they hash out what's happening, the pieces finally click. Turns out the Riverside Kingdom was a place that got drenched with rain all year long. And with torrential rains pounding them non-stop this year, the citizens are working around the clock, so even if they wanted a bath to cool off, there's no time, no chance. Flaffer takes it all in and starts plotting how they can make everything feel way easier. Aqua tells them Flaffer grew these veggies and we're getting them to the people right now, but a single royal farm can't feed everyone, and Flaffer insists that if there's enough food, that's the fix. Aqua blurts out, "So, are you planning to swoop in for free again, Lady Fuhra Fuhra?" Flaffer leans in and says, "Maybe starting tomorrow, I'll even lend a hand at farms outside the royal palace." Aqua bursts into an animated rant praising Flaffer for her greedlessness like it's a miracle, but then she snaps that Flaffer still needs to take some compensation because refusing payment doesn't help the other side either. Aqua warns about the disasters too. Remember when they tried to pay out of goodwill and Flaffer wouldn't budge, and how chaos erupted when people started whining about sketchy, inconsistent prices. Aqua tells her not to worry and vows she'll handle Flaffer's pay, and Flaffer just nods, letting Aqua take over and walk it from there. The story pivots to the Kingdom of Harvest, where rain lashes the palace walls like a storm that won't quit, and someone leans in asking Mary, when's the sun finally coming back? Mary rants that she's praying her heart out every single day, then blames the other saints for dropping the ball, and someone shoots back, "Yeah, I'm with you." All this rain is wrecking the palace gardens, and now the vegetables are wilting fast. What a total headache. In some gloomy dungeon basement, King Jarful grinds away at the soil, muttering that even after the palace finally got cleaned up, he's finally relieved. He managed to get rid of that dungeon's soil packed with that woman's hateful power, and King Jarful even admits he's on the same page, because ever since that happened, he hasn't been able to eat his vegetables either, and his energy's just been fading. Mary moans that without those vitality-boosting veggies she's in awful shape, and King Jarfel snaps back that she's not wrong. Then Mary fires off. So what's the point of keeping it sunny only over the royal palace? King Jarfel explains, because I can trigger your holy power right there for a while and the citizens won't even notice. Murray blurts out that it could be illegal, but King Jarfel waves it off like it's no big deal at all. He insists that the folks at the very top of the nation must stay fired up, because if Mary and he are feeling good and the whole country catches that boost, who could possibly complain? Miri catches his drift, nods hard and blurts out, "You're right, just like always," then grins and calls him uncle, praising him as brilliantly as ever. The scene rips open to reveal wilted vegetables inside the Harvest Kingdom Palace, crying out for help, like they're one step from giving up. Meanwhile, Flaffer and Aqua kicked off their Riverside Kingdom farm tour right at the palace's doorstep, then worked outward from there. They roll up to a nearby farm and a curly-haired older woman beams at them like they're long-awaited guests, while the farmer practically glows with joy at having such adorable kids show up. Flaffer introduces herself and blurts that her name is Furifer, then tells everyone she grows fresh vegetables right at the royal palace. The farmer introduces herself as Marasha and Aqua steps in with a crisp bow, declaring she's the maid assigned to Lady Furifer. Harasha spots Flaffer and instantly clocks him as the kid who grew those crazy, jaw-dropping vegetables for the royal palace. She stares at Flaffer with wide-eyed awe, then blurts out that she's got a power so wild, so unreal, that Marasha has never seen anything like it. Flaffer cranes her head up and locks eyes with her, her gaze blazing with bright, sparkling wonder. Then Flaffer leans in and asks if Marasha can check out one of the fields, and the whole crew jumps at the chance. Marasha leans in and tells Flaffer to stop freaking out, just relax and act natural. Flaffer tells them, "All right, I'll go do it right now," and sprints ahead. But he trips on the spot and face plants straight into the muddy field. Flaffer drops to her knees in the shattered field, eyes shut, bathed in a soft, comforting glow, whispering a prayer. She begs the soil to turn into a cozy home where bugs thrive and swears this farm will bloom with delicious, nutritious vegetables. Once her shift ends, Marasha calls out from nearby, praising her hard work and urging her to come over and sit down. The whole group settles in for tea and Flaffer blurts, "So what did Marasha mean by power?" Marasha smiles and says she's satisfied, she's finally seen power far beyond anything she ever imagined. She leans in and tells Flaffer straight up, "I've got saint-level power," then reminds Flaffer plainly that she should have noticed it herself just like Aqua said. Flaffer's eyes go wide with shock as he blurts out, "How does Marasha know you're a saint?" Marasha flashes a warm smile, her mind racing as she wonders if this is exactly what she's been suspecting. She admits her powers are already gone, like the past finally sealed the chapter shut. Then Flaffer snaps to it, stunned to find that Marasha is the very saint herself. Suddenly, Aqua turns to Flaffer and blurts out a real apology, swearing she's sorry for everything she's done up to now. Aqua spills the bombshell she and King Forest both figured out Flaffer was a saint, and the whole time she's been panicking because Flaffer's acting like she's hiding who she really is. She goes on to tell us she sought out Lady Marasha, the former saint, and Marasha swore that if she ever got the chance to meet Flaffer face to face, she could step in with guidance, just like a predecessor. Flaffer admits she used to believe she was a saint, but now she's convinced she's just a fake, and she swears she didn't feel like she was using a single bit of power. But Marasha tells Flaffer she's completely clueless, then insists with total confidence that she's a real, magnificent saint and urges her to look right behind her. Flaffer whirls around, and the field she just blessed is wildly transformed, plants exploding up everywhere like it never had a chance to stay barren. She can barely process it because even after all that work that should have wiped her out, her body feels totally fine. Marasha says this is insane, using that much power and not even getting tired. Flatter's strength is absolutely off the charts, and that blessing didn't come from the weather or anything small, it came from nature itself, which is basically unheard of. She says, "If I'd used this much power back when I was in my prime, I'd crumple from exhaustion on the spot, before this even got going, but the Flaffer somehow changes things. This kind of effort feels like nothing more than strolling through the park." Flaffer blurts, "Why do I feel this loaded with power now? Back in the Harvest Kingdom I didn't feel nearly this strong." Marasha tells Flaffer, "As long as you get the right food and keep yourself healthy, your body and your holy powers will snap right back to their full strength." But then Flaffer starts freaking out, because if the word spreads that she's still a saint, everyone will demand she work nonstop and she'll never get to splash around in the mud freely again. Meanwhile, Aqua gets it instantly. Flaffer's power is straight up insane, so crazy it feels like reality can't even hold it. Aqua spots Flaffer's dreadful expression and blurts out, "What's wrong?" Flaffer insists she just wants to keep squirming in the mud, no matter what anyone thinks, even if they swear she's a saint. Marisha shot back, "Why don't you just do it right now?" Aqua tells Flaffer, "If you use that power for the Riverside Kingdom, I swear this place will turn into a peaceful, thriving nation." And honestly, Flaffer doesn't have to quit doing what she loves for anyone. She's free to live life light, carefree, and exactly how she wants. Aqua tells Flaffer, "If some creep shows up trying to make you go all out with your power, or worse, trying to force you into something awful, then you can bet His Majesty and I won't stay quiet." Because the Saintess is basically a national treasure, messing with her care would be pure madness. Marasha flashes a warm smile, like she's just struck gold in the middle of the moment. That night, right inside the Riverside Kingdom Palace, King Forest, Flaffer, and Aquashir shared a lavish dinner beneath the moonlit sky. While they're eating, Aqua blurts out an apology to Flaffer for staying silent after she finally realized she was the saint. Flaffer fires back, wondering why she didn't just come out and ask straight. King Forest admits he figured if he asked Flaffer, she'd snap into full guard mode, so he wouldn't have a chance to truly relax. King Forest tells Flaffer they've finally confirmed the power is hers, and now he's ready to boost her reward. Flaffer stared at the gold coins, and disappointment crept across her face. King Forest says, "Yeah, the gold coins are there, but this time he's offering her one special wish." Flaffer's eyes go wide at the word wish, and she blurts out, "Do you mean like a prize?" She admits that simply getting to play on the farm already feels like a reward all on its own. Then Flaffer leans in and asks if King Force would spare her one day of his time, and King Force freezes, staring at her like, "Wait, is it for you?" Flaffer blurted to herself that she just cooked up the perfect reward, one she and King Forest could enjoy together. Meanwhile, Aqua gushes about how amazing it is, while Flaffy internally squeals with excitement over the reward she just earned. Flaffer practically bursts with excitement and agrees right on the spot, thanking King Forest for the chance, and when she steps back in, boom, she's fully recovered, perfectly healthy and wearing proper clothes instead of those tattered rags. Later, King Force strides through the palace hallway, all dreamy about how sweet and innocent she is, like way too innocent for her age. While everyone else showed up chasing ambition and honor, Flaffer just stared at the king and asked one weird thing: let him play in the mud. He can't stop wondering what she's thinking, and then it hits him, he has to know more about her. Next day at the big bathhouse, King's throwing questions at himself like, "Is this really the move?" And he tells Flaffer, "You know I said I'd follow you wherever you go." Flaffer tells everyone, "I begged Aqua to book the entire place just for us for today." King Forest looks like he's already accepted his fate, and Flaffer practically grabs his sleeve, urging him to hurry and jump into the bath, right as King Forest freezes, stunned, and asks if she's talking about him too. At the bathhouse, Flaffer blurts out a sudden realization, then he asks, "Wait, is this the women's bath?" King Forest freezes in total shock, demanding to know if she's really planning to strip down and bathe with him. Then Flaffer skips in, cheerfully undressing as he jokes that they've got the whole place to themselves today, while King Forest is left completely gobsmacked. Then he fires back, accusing her of trying to seduce him, shouting, "Why are you handing over your clothes like you've got nothing to be ashamed of?" Panics out of nowhere, shoots him a warning to stay put, and tells him to wait. But King Forest shuts it down, saying that's not how you show gratitude, while Flaffer insists it's just a small token of her thanks. Yet because of him, she's been loving every single day. Then Aqua storms in out of nowhere, explodes and screams at Flaffer, asking what on earth she thinks she's doing. Aqua asks if Flaffer isn't embarrassed to be spotted looking awful, and Flaffer just shrugs it off like, "Clothes are only for blocking the cold." Aqua yanks King Force away and begs him to stop right there while he's still. He shoots Flaffer a warning because she's one step away from slipping. In the middle of the chaos, King Forest and Flaffer get their faces shoved way too close together, right into the most painfully awkward moment ever. After that, King Forest strides down the palace hallway in total silence, like the whole world is holding its breath. Later, Flaffer dashes up to King Forest and throws out a heartfelt apology. He leans in and tells her, "There's one thing you have to remember. Even though she doesn't have to stress around Aqua, she still warns that she can't let any guy see her underwear or her real personality, because that's just how the world works, and the platform quickly and nervously assures her she gets it. But King Force can't help thinking she doesn't get the whole thing, and even after that long lecture, Flaffer still tells him she wants him to join her for a bath today. Inside the bathhouse, Flaffer soaks up the moment as Aqua washes her hair and the pure bliss hits her like lightning. She suddenly gets this eerie, vague memory, like someone gently washed her hair just like this a long time ago. Aqua asks what's wrong and Flaffer grins, saying it definitely feels amazing. Aqua throws the pressure on her, but Flaffer just smirks and insists it's nothing. Meanwhile, King Force lounged in a different corner of the bath, staring at the water like, when was the last time I actually got to relax like this? King Force leans in and tells Flaffer, I'm seriously glad about this. And Flaffer can't help but beam, pointing out how completely relaxed he looks now. King Force hints that it might all come down to her, because she's been thanking her for everything she's done. Flaffer tried to act humble about it, like she wouldn't dare actually say it out loud. King Forest leans in and asks, should we get out soon? But you can tell he's also wondering if they can squeeze in just a bit more time. His words hit Flaffer like lightning, and she blushes hard. Meanwhile, still soaking in the bathhouse, Aqua snaps out to Flapper. The camera drifts back and boom, there they are, Flaffer and King Force completely relaxed, soaking together in the bath while everything's watched from afar. But even so, the cozy bathtime bliss can't last forever. At night, King Force slips into Flaffer's room and keeps watch over her while she sleeps. He spots that old bruise on her body, and the light drains from his face. The guy can't stop replaying it, imagining every single hit she took, every ounce of pain she had to swallow, and everything she survived. That bruise isn't fresh at all, like something darker has been happening for a long time. Someone points out that Lady Flaffer is pure strength. Right now, Flaffer's sleep turns into pure torment. She makes those sharp pain sounds and thrashes like she can't break free. King Force realizes he's totally in over his head, stops pretending he can handle this solo and decides there's only one move left. He has to beg Aqua to come help. Night cloaks the Kingdom of Harvest as Duke Bonnell storms into his residence and tells his niece Myra, I need a favor from you. Myra leans in, eyes sharp, what kind of favor? Duke Bamo, King Jarbel's younger brother, grabbed Mir's attention and told her he needed her to head over to the neighboring kingdom of Riverside, because right now they've got no saintess, and Mir froze in shock, demanding to know why she'd have to go somewhere like that. The Duke leans in and reminds her, you've got holy power, then orders her to unleash it in the filthy, wretched streets of Riverside. Mary shoots back, furious at the idea that any country could want her because she'd still hate life in a strange land, and she demands, what good is showing off supposed to do? She suggests sending another saintess to the Kingdom of Riverside, and the Duke shuts it down fast. What they really need isn't her presence, it's rain for their dying, drought-struck land. The Duke's wife keeps snapping the plan to pieces, telling Mary they won't just make other nations owe them, but that if they wipe out the extra saints and Mary becomes the Kingdom of Harvest's one true saint, it'll be a huge win for the ducal house. Murray asked if the country would be okay while she was gone, and the woman snapped back that the weight is far too much for the other saints to carry alone. Then she shrugged and said her brother swore the veggies he grew helped with fatigue recovery, so everything would be fine and Murray should just feed them to the saints. Mary can't stop thinking about her uncle's vegetables, because every time she eats the ones he grows as a hobby, energy practically surges in her veins. But this batch is different, just plain, ordinary harvests with no wow factor like before, and the scene shows her uncle standing in his garden, beaming like he's got something to prove. Mary can't shake the thought, there's no way those girls can juggle a scene tests duties all by themselves. A tight close-up locks onto a gloved hand, hovering inches from a dagger. Myra's eyes sharpen instantly and she realizes this could be the opening she's been waiting for too. While her carriage convoy clattered along the mountain roads, someone called out to Lady Mary and promised, we'll reach the Riverside Kingdom in no time. Myra leans out from the carriage and realizes they've gone way farther than she ever expected. The camera glides to a towering palace and Mary nods, fully understanding, then she declares she's heading straight for the Riverside Kingdom. Someone leans in and tells Myri, we've got huge expectations for you, now go prove you're a real saint. And as the narrator makes it clear, Myri decides to roll with her father's plan and heads straight for the Riverside Kingdom. Inside a gorgeous room, they call her Lady Saint as they get her ready and Mary's mind races. If the weather goes wild while she's gone, won't everyone finally see how crucial the saint is and how much this country needs her? She can already picture the kingdom bowing to her, worshipping her as its most precious saint. Then Neri starts thinking she might as well show off her power in the Riverside Kingdom too, score a full-on, passionate welcome while she's there. Then she suddenly stops. She realizes the fear of fear has to be hiding in the Riverside Kingdom too, and that if everyone already believes the saints of the Harvest Kingdom are useless like she thinks they are, then she's already losing before she even starts. This might be bad news. Someone else chimes in that, according to the driver, he tossed fear of fear out into the wasteland during the disposal, which means she's probably gone for good. The other guy reacts with a quiet, stunned wait. Then the first person shrugs and says dying like a dog by the roadside really does sound pitiful. Just as they roll up to the Riverside Kingdom, someone drops the bombshell that they heard the place gets nasty weather since they don't have a saint, so why is it blazing sunny right now? It feels super off, and they decide to start asking questions at the capital checkpoint. Inside the carriage, Myra grinned and said that with weather this perfect, she wanted to hit the farms right away, because the last time she came, those long rains turned the fields into full-on lakes. Her companion perks up, says it sounds awesome, and insists they've got to go see it, while Miri, alone in her head, steels herself to witness just how messed up the country she's rushing in to save really is. At the capital, the guards trade remarks about how the sun's been out for days, then one of them blurts that this is the first time in his life he's ever had a job in weather so fresh and happy. Inside the carriage, Miri gives a tight, quiet nod, just enough to show she heard. Someone leans in and reassures her, telling her not to fret, the sunshine is pure luck, a miraculous stretch of good weather for once. And a guard snaps at whoever's nearby, watch your step. Then Mira's companion leans in and swears that if she sticks around, the sky will turn weird fast. So Mira nods, they strike a deal and decide to tour the farm, fully expecting to find soggy, waterlogged soil where vegetables barely stand a chance. But when Miria steps onto the farm, she's blindsided. Rows upon rows of healthy vegetables are thriving everywhere like the place is glowing. She can't believe it could grow in a land that's nothing but non-stop rain, so she scrambles for an excuse. Maybe they're feeding it top-tier fertilizer, because no other farm ever turns out like this. She grits her teeth, shuts the door on the past, and heads for the next farm. On another farm, Miri's eyes lock onto even more thriving vegetables and she gasps in pure disbelief. Then she stares at the dry, cracked soil and realizes she can't show off her powers like this. Suddenly, a voice slices through the chaos. Someone calls out to Lady Mary, and she immediately decides to go and get to the bottom of what's going on. A farmer tells Mary there isn't a saintess in this country anymore, so Mary pushes back and demands to know who's left. Then the farmer snaps, "It's not that saintess," and explains they're using the power of the vegetable grower in the royal palace. Mir checks the truth and realizes there isn't any saintess in the Riverside Kingdom, so she demands to know who this person is. The farmer remembers her as this cute girl, and the moment he sees her joyfully tilling the soil, happiness hits him right back. Now he's dying to know where she is today. The farmer thrusts a tomato into Myra's hands and swears fate dragged her here, and Myra grabs it with hungry excitement and takes a big bite. Right away, her taste buds explode in pure shock. That tomato hits like pure magic, so juicy and sweet it smashes every trace of her fatigue, and for a second it feels like happiness itself has been cast on her. The farmer asks, "Is it tasty?" And Mary goes, "These are better than any vegetable I've ever eaten." She can't wrap her head around the fact that someone who grows food this delicious could actually exist, so she insists he must be invited to the Harvest Kingdom. Then he orders her crew to hit every single farm in the capital right away, no delays. Myra's companion lights up and calls it an amazing find, and Myra swears her father and uncle will be thrilled to death. Then someone blurts, "What's gotten into you?" And Myra snaps, "Order the carriage to stop if you spot a girl near any farm." Reluctantly, they finally give in. Right after that, the companion clocks a girl standing over there. Myra stared out and instantly recognized Fraffer. She can't stop wondering what those veggies from earlier were doing here, and then she starts to doubt it all. She stares at Fraffer and realizes he looks nothing like the guy she knew in the Harvest Kingdom. Then the panic kicks in, questions spilling out fast. Did Fraffer survive the wasteland, and what does it mean that she's suddenly in the Riverside Kingdom? Meanwhile, someone yells that it's almost time for Lady Furifer's meal. Flaffer is outside stretching and purring like it's the best thing ever after what looks like a heavenly nap, and Myra watches from afar, stunned that daily life must hit her that hard if she can enjoy a nap this much. Then Flaffer beams and declares, "That was so much fun." Later, Aqua snaps at Flaffer for packing mud even in her mouth, orders her to rinse it out with water, and right after that, Flaffer spots a suspicious spot somewhere. Meanwhile, one of the Harvest Kingdom's noble saintesses stares at Flaffer and can't believe it. How does this useless woman stay smiling while she's living here? Another saintess fires back that Flaffer's even weaker than her, yet somehow she's the only one actually having fun. Then the first saintess grumbles that they busted their tails doing their duty as saints for real. The saintess waves off Flaffer's troubles, basically saying she was probably scooped up by some merchant and shoved into labor anyway, while they watch Flaffer bounce around, working up a storm, then cheerfully realize she just happens to be off today to mess around, and one saintess sighs that this country's got almost no entertainment at all. From the carriage, someone blares that they're rolling out to the next farm next. Mary's heart sank because they never found the rumored girl, some master at growing vegetables, by the end. The sky was crystal clear, so she figured there had to be a powerful saintess the public didn't even know about, and she was crushed that she couldn't finally flex her own power. Her escort notices that even with all her talking, Mary's got this bright, cheerful vibe, because she reveals they managed to snag tons of vegetables, and at the market they load up on all kinds of fresh produce. Someone asks if they should head back to the Harvest Kingdom, and Miri practically lights up. She's sure the information they snagged will make her father so happy. Then the carriage jolts into motion and they're gone. Meanwhile, at the Riverside Kingdom Palace, one frantic official rushes to King Force and reports that their spy sent to the Harvest Kingdom has finally come back. The officials rave that Lady Furifer's treatment is something nobody could ever dream of. Then King Force smirks and says, "Just as I thought." King Force's expression turned stone cold when he heard that the Harvest Kingdom's weather stayed intact only because Lady Furifer made it so. Then they called her disposable and threw her out into the wasteland. Then the female advisor leans in and reminds King Forest he got exiled from the Harvest Kingdom the exact same way too. King Forest admits he lived because this country helped him, but Lady Furifer was left alone for ages. The advisor leans in and credits his gut instincts and sharp judgment for saving Lady Furifer, because if he hadn't, she would have died. King Force can't stop thinking about it, how wild it is that even after he got exiled from the Harvest Kingdom, he trusted his instincts, tracked down food and water on the road, and still made it to this country by himself, and he can only call it a miracle. The advisor hails King Force's razor-sharp intuition, then suddenly calls it out, because the other day inside the grand bathhouse it looked like it wasn't working at all. She wonders if that was on purpose, and then she shuts it down hard. Absolutely not. She admits she feared he'd lose control and come down on the Harvest Kingdom on the spot. But King Forest reassures her he wouldn't take it that far, and the advisor breathes a sigh of relief, glad his usual retort is all he's got. Then the advisor's smile drops and seriousness hits as she warns that once word spreads about Flaffer's power, enemies will swarm to drag her back. So she orders constant surveillance over Flaffer and says they need guards watching Lady Furifer too. Then the female advisor leans in and tells King Forest, "Save Lady Furifer and this mess ends." She fires off taunts at him, mocking him as a spineless majesty who couldn't even lift a finger when she was at her worst, making Forrest snap back that she can't keep teasing him like that. Meanwhile, out in the palace garden, Flaffer's just trying to exist, yet palace staff keep a sharp eye on her, while down the hallway the advisor leans in to King Forest and insists she's kidding, only to turn around and secretly crank up the surveillance and beef up the guards around Flaffer anyway. Later on, someone corners Lady Fear of Fear and asks if she can spare a moment. Over dinner with King Forest and his advisor, the advisor lets slip she's heard the Kingdom of Harvest has been drenched in rain non-stop, and Flaffer blurts, "So what, why should we care?" The advisor answers that the country is only supposed to have 3 saints. Then he leans in and asks if Flaffer's been praying to control the weather in the Kingdom of Harvest this whole time, and Flaffer just confirms that yes, she has. Then the advisor presses her, did Flaffer get paid properly for it? Because if her holy power really saved the Harvest Kingdom, she better not have been shortchanged. Flaffer leans in and demands, "Why are you even asking something like that?" King Forest tells him straight, ugly rumors are flying about the Harvest Kingdom, and if they're real, he'll sever ties for good. That's why he went to Lady Furifer first since she once lived there. Flaffer demands, promise me you won't barge in there no matter what. And King Force answers, I'd never do something that's stupid like picking a fight, but if anyone invades, I'm defending this country with everything I've got. The advisor nods and says she gets it. King Force swears that whatever he hears next, he'll never execute anyone from the Harvest Kingdom, and she adds, if anything goes wrong, I'll stop it myself. Flaffer says that if that's how it had to be, then her reward was brutal, 1 meal a day, bread or whatever leftovers were left. And she would sometimes get hand-me-down clothes, and both King Forest and the advisor would jolt in shock. Then Flaffer would blurt it out, that's why she thought this country's rewards were so incredible. She was genuinely thrilled to snag those gorgeous ornaments, shining like gold coins. Someone demands to know where Lady Fuhra is living, and Flaffer shoots back that once she was brought to the royal palace, they locked her away in the dungeon. Suddenly, the palace explodes in a wave of shocked screams. Flaffer swore that King Jalbar trapped her in the dungeon and demanded she keep pouring out her holy power without stopping. No escape, no choice, just obedience, because they promised the country would be saved by saints from noble blood, not by some orphan like her, so they threw her away. But just as she was riding in that carriage, nausea hit like a truck. Then they ditched her on some lonely stretch of road in the middle of nowhere, and when she finally came to, she'd already been rescued and was somehow in this country. King Force swears it's beyond anything he ever imagined, and the advisor just nods like, yeah, I can't believe it's gone this far. King Force roars that this is totally unforgivable, no excuses, no matter what, and makes it clear they don't owe the slightest help. Then they rip up diplomatic ties with the Kingdom of Harvest on the spot. The advisor flat out says that country can't survive for much longer on its own, and King Force quickly turns to Lady Furifer, promising he'll make no move for assassination or revenge, he'll keep his word. Meanwhile, someone drops the bombshell that the Harvest Kingdom has been getting hit with non-stop rain, just like the Riverside Kingdom used to. Back then, the Riverside people survived by grinding their minds for answers and firing off countermeasures day after day. The Harvest Kingdom isn't built that way. If this storm keeps pounding, the nation's very survival is on the line. King Forced clocks Lady Furifer's absence and snaps that the world must have flipped completely, so brutal that even the saintess there can't survive on sheer power alone until someone grins and says, wait, this country has 3 saintesses. Then King Forest tells Flaffer, someday you'll finally see how huge your power really is, and his worry hits hard, because once she understands someone may try to snatch her, that's when Flaffer clicks. That's why so many guards have been stationed around her. King forces out an apology for dragging Flaffer back to that painful past, but Flaffer only grins and tells him she's actually thrilled he cares about her this much. King Force blurts that, of course, he cares about her. Then he blurts out that when he feared those days of eating together and chatting like this would vanish forever, his heart felt like it was about to explode. Then he admits he snapped and raised his voice without meaning to, and he immediately apologizes. Flaffer calls him Your Majesty, clearly overwhelmed, because she's not talking about her holy power at all, she's pointing to the real days they spend together. Then King Forest presses Lady Fear of Fear for one last answer. Was she ever locked away in an orphanage? Flaffer nods and confirms it. Even back when she was just a kid. She told him the king at the time dragged her out of the orphanage, and at first, life felt better than before until the kindness slowly rotted and everything turned ugly. Flaffer says she heard the kids from the orphanage were wiped out, then she drops the brutal truth, she was one of the lucky ones. Then Flaffer keeps going, saying one orphan from the place treasured her more than anyone, so sharp he felt just like King Forest, and she can't shake the thought that he might still be alive somewhere out there. Suddenly, Flaffer jolts in shock, he's alive, and deep down she already knew it, like it had to be somewhere in this country. But King Force swears he's hiding in this country, so Flaffer blurts out, if there's any way, can you really meet him? Flaffer visibly shakes with emotion at the thought, right as King Force blurts out an apology for missing it all this time, then points at himself and says Big Brother is standing right here. Flaffer's eyes bulge with pure, stunned disbelief at the bombshell revelation. Then she honed her reflexes during the days she spent in her orphanage. She admits some memories still cling to her, even if they're tiny and shaky. She was so small back then that everything blurs, but one thing stays crystal clear: the older brother she loved like crazy. A memory hits hard. Little Flaffer back when she was just a kid, hiding behind the orphanage flowers and getting choked up over those far-off days. then the flashback rips open. He spots tiny Flaffer sprawled in the mud, rushes over and calls out, "So that's where you were, Big Brother's here," and the moment young Flaffer hears him, she perks up and calls him back, "Big Brother." The boy gives her a soft, exasperated look and mutters that she truly can't resist playing in the mud, so Flaffer beams and says that every time she gets muddy, she feels instantly energized. Flaffer keeps talking about the orphanage. Every kid there gets no name at all, just a number barked out by the adults, but one person in that place is totally different. An older boy claimed her as his little sister and spoiled her with non-stop affection. He wasn't her real brother at all, but she still slapped him with the nickname Big Brother too. The memory flashes them side by side in the orphanage courtyard, where the boy kneels with little Flaffer at a wooden tub outside, scrubbing her so the mud comes off clean, warning her she'll get scolded again if she doesn't do it right, and Flaffer just grins back, saying the bubbles feel amazing. Then she teases that she'll get him all bubbly too, and the boy tries to wave it off. "I'm really fine," but Flaffer's already dousing him in bubbles. Flaffer breaks your heart with how brutal life at the orphanage was, but the moments she shared with him were pure, unstoppable fun, until that bright memory crumbles into something dark. At night in the dorm, the young boy jolts awake on the floor looking wrecked and terrified, then he spots young Flaffer nearby and blurts, "What's happening?" Young Flaffer is sobbing with her hands over her face, telling him that she just had the scariest dream. The boy calls her over and says it must have been terrifying. Then Fluffer chokes out through tears that she'd been stuck in a dark place while some evil person screamed at her. He scoops her up like she's safe in his arms and whispers, "I'm right here," so she finally knows she's not alone. In a flashback, young Flaffer curls up in bed, whispering, "Tomorrow too," because with her big brother beside her, she's sure they'll have a ton of fun together. The young boy flashes a grin, tells her he loves that one, and young Flaffer lights up, promising she'll copy him too. He hooks their fingers together and tells his little sister he's praying they'll stay like this forever. The memory slips into nothingness, and there, just for a heartbeat, the two kids stand there, hands locked, innocent as can be. Back in the present, at Riverside Palace, Aqua just stares while King Forest grips Flaffer. Flaffer snaps that it can't be him, her big brother, and King Forest answers, "Yeah, it's really you." Then King Forest leans in and tells Flaffer, "Back when we were young, nobody had names, we only used special titles." Flaffer nods, "Yeah, that's true," and King Forest goes on, voice dropping, "She's the only one who ever called me her brother." Flaffer's feelings crash over her the moment she realizes she wasn't wrong after all. King Forest yanks her into a tight hug, whispering that he's been dying to see her for ages. Aqua stares at them, beaming hard, and basically says, "I'm just so happy you finally got to reunite." King Force points out that even after all this time they've been meeting, Lady Flaffer was the one person His Majesty was hunting for, no matter what it took. Aqua says she's going out for a bit and tells everyone to do whatever they want. Then King Force jumps in to block her, warning, "Don't make this weird." Later, King Forest corners Flaffer and demands to know how she made it out alive. She tells him that, according to what she heard, everyone was left to fend for themselves outside the royal capital. King Force tells it like a miracle. They trusted their gut, stumbled into food and clean water, and kept pushing through that brutal grind, walking for dozens of days until they finally staggered into the Riverside Kingdom. He tells Flaffer that every kid from the orphanage is now living in the Riverside Kingdom, and Flaffer lets out a quiet breath of relief. In the panel, the kingdom below is thriving in full breathtaking detail, like everything you could ever want is right there, right in front of you. The story snaps to the Kingdom of Harvest, where brutal rain pounds the capital nonstop, soaking everything in sight. Panic erupts on every street, people shout about how long the storm will last and what the saints are even doing about it. And in every trembling voice one fear echoes, the country might crumble if this keeps going. Inside the palace, King Jarful lunges at Bomber, furious and demanding to know why he let Mary take that trip in the first place. Bomber sweats and insists there are other saints around, so he thought it'd be okay for just a little while. Then he shrugs it off, Mary should be back any moment. Then Duke Bomber just stood there, cooking his master plan, send the other saintesses to nearby countries after they witnessed Mura's power. So Mura would become the only saint of the Harvest Kingdom and blast the Duke's reputation sky high, with the other saints proving they couldn't possibly replace Mura once she vanished. Back in the palace, King Jarful's snapping non-stop about how it's only been raining and it's all because Miri isn't there. Bomber tries to explain, he says she's using her powers not just in their country but across the Riverside Kingdom too. But King Jarful barrels right through him, declaring the blame will of course land on Bomber since he's the king. Then King Jarful snaps at Bomber to open his eyes and read the moment. First, they've got to bring the sun back to the Harvest Kingdom, and if Bomber keeps running off on his own, the king's already lining up his next move. A guard barges in with a report, and King Jarful whips around, demanding answers right as magical sparkles erupt in the air. Bomber demands answers, but King Jarful swats the question away. Something urgent just landed, they'll talk later, and when Bomber pushes back, the king shuts it down cold. He doesn't need to know. Bomber reminds the king who runs the kingdom, the prime minister, yet King Jarpel just turns his back and brushes him off again, saying none of this has anything to do with him. Bomber stood there, fuming like a volcano about to erupt. Bomber berated his brother for vanishing without a word, and now he's furious, because if the king embarrasses him one more time, Bomber will rip that throne out from under him with zero mercy. At a checkpoint outside the capital, Myri gets yanked up by guards and rage hits her like a storm. "I'm the Duke's daughter and I'm the saint," she snaps, furious that she's being blocked at all. Guard bows his head, apologizes, and admits they can't move. These are the king's orders, plain and simple. Mary rants that she's been praying all over the royal capital for the first time in ages. Then, right as she finishes, King Jarful pops up from a carriage window and demands a word with her, and Mary freezes in shock, blurting out, "Uncle." King Jarful claims Bomber told him that she slipped into the Riverside Kingdom. Mary trembles as she confirms yes. Then she admits she hasn't been feeling well lately, so she thought, why not do something different for once? King Jarful snaps that she needs to unleash her holy power right now to smash the rain or he's finished. Since she wasn't there, the storm just keeps pounding and his name with the citizens crashes hard. Mary fires back that she's already praying and the rain will quit any minute. King Jarful slams her pay raise to 0 as punishment for sneaking out without permission, and Mary snaps back, saying it's downright cruel. Then she bargains that she's got juicy information about the Riverside Kingdom, and King Jarful weighs it all, promising that if it's worth it, she'll earn her future raise. The sky clears in a dramatic sweep, and King Jarful notices the shift. Looks like the good weather's been sticking around because this land finally isn't stuck in endless rain anymore. Mary leans in and says she's sure the Riverside Kingdom has a powerful saint lurking behind the scenes, so what she figured out next, King Jarful. Then Miri blurts out, totally thrilled, that the vegetables there were so ridiculously delicious they'd blow your mind. But King Jarful shuts Mir down on the spot, insisting that can't possibly be true, and Mir won't back off, pointing out that until now the Riverside Kingdom has been shelling out huge sums just to import food from the Harvest Kingdom. She insists Riverside didn't feel like there was any food shortage at all, and even if she doesn't know every detail, she swears their farms were thriving, while King Jarful turns away, wrestling with thoughts of Myri. She protests, saying she figured he'd be happy for them, but King Jarful cuts her off, saying those vague stories are useless to him. Mary throws up her defenses, snapping that it's not all on her, and she already warned the other saintesses she'd be gone for a while outside the palace window, the rain keeps hammering down. Myri suddenly blurts, then jabs her finger at the sky. King Jarful, look. With a flick from her power, the rain begins to die down and King Jarful stares at the clearing weather like, that's exactly what I'd expect from you. King Jarful points out that since their farming is booming, she must have loaded up on tons of vegetables. Then Mary drops the truth. She ate nearly all of them on the way, so the leftovers are just souvenirs she'll hand to her father and the rest. King Jarful steps up beside wagons piled high with produce and declares he's taking it, right then and there. Mary's eyes go wide in shock as she blurts, why would you do something like that? King Jarful just sits there in the middle of the vegetables, smugly saying, of course I did, while Mary demands to know whose fault she thinks his reputation has crashed so hard. Mary can't even speak, she's stunned. Meanwhile, in the hushed rooms of Riverside Palace, King Force stares into the past, haunted by one mission. Ever since his sister was dragged away from the orphanage, he's been hunting for her with nothing but fury and hope. Ever since Riverside Kingdom took him in, he's been clawing his way upward, desperate to grab the highest position he can, because in his mind, the more power he holds, the easier it'll be to dig up answers about her. Flaffer can't believe it as King Forest keeps spinning his tail. Then the moment Forest finishes, the former king turns around and crowns him as the next ruler. Even after he finally became king, Forest still couldn't pry a single clue about Flaffer out of anyone. With one last shot at hope, he stormed into the Harvest Kingdom to find her himself. because he feared she'd been shipped off to some merchant or worse that she might not be alive anymore. King Force leans in and tells Flaffer, "I tracked you down along the way." Flaffer's chest tightens as it hits him. He's been hunting for her with that kind of desperation the whole time. King Forest keeps going with his confession. Once he sees Flaffer collapse, he feels it in his bones. He has to get to her right now. At first, he only meant to help her, but the more time they shared, the more his feelings snapped into place, pulling him toward her with every passing day. And to think she was actually his sister, turns out his gut instinct back then wasn't wrong after all. Just then, someone shouts Lady Four's name. King Forest leans in and tells Flaffer he wants her engaged to him. Flaffer's eyes bulge with pure shock, and right behind him, Aqua bursts into the doorway, shouting congratulations. Flaffer just stands there, frozen in total shock, trying to make sense of the words engaged. King Force boldly declares there's only one woman he'd ever marry, Lady Four. Aqua blurts out, "I finally heard it," and Flaffer's face lights up with pure, overwhelmed joy. But suddenly the world froze, then everything snapped into a flying blur. She scrambles to make sense of it all, then it hits her. His Majesty Forest and Big Brother are the very same man, and they're already talking about getting engaged and married. Flaffer's brain hits full overload, and she finally can't keep up anymore. She drops onto the couch in an instant, and Hakua and King Force lunge to her side, shouting her name and begging her to be okay. Meanwhile, Mary breaks down and screams for her father, and Duke Baumel barrels over, demanding, "What's wrong?" Tears spill down Mary's face as she blurts that her uncle did something unforgivable. Then Duke Baumel snaps, demanding to know if his brother laid a hand on her. But then Mary blurts out that her uncle snatched it right out of her hands. Duke Baumel tries to talk himself into believing his brother wouldn't cross that line until he realizes his brother grabbed them and snatched every last souvenir vegetable clean away. Mary just keeps sobbing, saying her uncle did something truly awful. And that one word, vegetables, keeps hammering in Duke Baumel's head. Mary told him that her uncle called it punishment for sneaking around without permission. Then he snatched every single vegetable she bought, even the ones meant as a gift for her father. Duke Baumel calmly takes in the whole mess, and meanwhile Mary is sobbing her heart out, because she lost the souvenir she'd saved for him, and it's so damn frustrating she can barely catch her breath. Duke Baumel takes one look at the chaos, then fixes his eyes on that brother of his, rage flashing as he vows he'll show zero mercy to anyone who made such a kind-hearted soul cry. Mary asks if he'll make Uncle Go Gaffin come back for her, and Duke Baumala promises, "Don't worry, I'll get him for you. She just has to wait a little longer." The farmer shoots Mara a quick question about how the Riverside Kingdom was, and Mara jumps right into the story. Bamo stares at it like it's a riddle, because there's no way a saint's supposed to exist in that country. Mary stared at her hands, frustrated that she couldn't flex her power in the Riverside Kingdom, so now she had to ask herself, was the Harvest Kingdom truly the only place where she could finally steal the spotlight, or was her next big move waiting somewhere else? Duke Bamo makes his move no matter what. He's going to rip his brother off that throne and seize the crown for himself. Later, Flaffer just sits there in quiet peace, and someone asks if she's calm now. She grins and says somehow yeah, she actually is. Then the king forced into the spotlight appears, and Flaffer's nerves explode as she asks, trembling, whether it's really okay for him to marry someone like her given he's the king. King Force tells her that in this country she's treated like a savior and that no one would dare say no to her as queen. Flaffer's eyes blow wide with pure, stunned disbelief. She fumbles out a nervous reply, saying she doesn't really remember saving the country. And then it hits, by tending her veggies every single day, she's not just helping the royal palace, she's keeping the whole nation alive. Flaffer shrugs and says it's nothing big because to her, farming, no, playing in the mud, is just her favorite hobby. On the palace balcony, the talk keeps going as they stare over the city. Someone blurts that whether Flaffer's just messing around or not, he's really cracking the food shortage, and they credit Lady Four for the relentless rain finally letting up. King Forest tells her, "You don't even see it yet, but you're the one keeping this country alive." Flaffer stops and thinks she was just out there playing with nature, hoping to make His Majesty smile, and somehow that simple joy is all she really feels. Then the dark-haired woman cuts in and says, "Look at Flaffer's record, there's no reason he can't date His Majesty." She says that soon they'll nail the perfect moment to declare Flaffer a saint and spell out exactly how much she's done for this country. The dark-haired woman fires back that Flaffer's bond matters more to her than anything the world thinks, and the second she says that, her words hit Flaffer so hard her eyes start to water, because if it were only about what she feels. She'd begged to stay with His Majesty, but destiny chained her there forever. And King Forest reacts to her words with raw emotion, then the two of them slam into a joyful embrace, while Flaffer can't even breathe from how overwhelmed she is with pure happiness. She can't believe it. After all this time where Milady was all anyone said, her big brother finally calls her by her real name, and this time, no honorifics. Means everything to her. King Forest leans in and demands that from now on, Flaffer stop calling him Your Majesty and start using his real name. Then Flaffer freezes with pure shock, stammering that it all hits her so suddenly. King Force turns his head, and Flaffer's heart drops the second he realizes he's let down. She blurts out that it crushes her to watch him wear that heartbreaking, disappointed look. Flaffer choked through her tears, calling his name with all her heart as she finally managed to whisper, Lord Forest. Tears flood her face as she stares at him, but King Forest only gives her a soft, steady smile. Flaffer tells him, for now, Lord Forest is totally fine. King Force vows to give it his all until one day she'll feel safe enough to call him by his name, no titles, just him. Next morning, Flaffer wakes up on her own, stretching in her bed like she's caught in a brand new day. And she just sits there, replaying everything that happened with Lord Forest, swearing to herself it wasn't some crazy dream from yesterday. Then it all finally sinks in, and she spins around in bed, grinning like it's pure magic. Aqua bursts into the room, calls out to Flaffer and spots her already awake, then Flaffer simply answers, I am. Aqua leans in and asks how she wants to spend her day, because there aren't any visits to the domestic farms on the schedule today. While she's in the shower, Flaffer can't stop replaying yesterday's conversation, and it hits her she was insanely happy. Reeling from the shocking twist that she was the brother Force he'd been obsessed with. And how he's been hunting for her this whole time, his chest felt squeezed tight like her heart had him in a death grip. Flaffer can't wait to thank him again and again for pulling her out of danger, and she's desperate to make sure Lord Forest hears every bit of it. She also wants to apologize for all the trouble she caused back then, like that time she fell asleep at the bathhouse, and now she turns to Aqua asking how she can properly thank him. Aqua can't help it. She's caught writing this internal note about just how cute Flaffer is being. Then she drops the idea. Aqua suggests serving homemade sweets for His Majesty's tea time, and Flaffer is totally thrown off by the whole thought. Aqua fires up the idea and says, forget handing it to the palace chefs, why not make them yourself today? Flaffer frets because she's never cooked a day in her life, asking if she can even pull it off. Then Aqua grins and cheers her on, promising that something she made with love will totally blow His Majesty away. Offering her full support, Flaffer leans in with bright hope asking, so you really mean it? Then soar over the Aqua, get hyped, because we're about to team up and bake cookies together. They're both wearing cooking outfits and the kitchen is stocked like a battlefield, tools ready, ingredients lined up. Aqua jumps in and says they'll make simple cookies that even total beginners can nail, and Flaffer nods like, I've had those before. They stare at the cooking supplies, bowls lined up, measuring tools at the ready like they're seconds from going all in. Flaffer blurts out, should we start measuring? But Aqua doesn't even blink, she orders her to just dump the ingredients straight in. Aqua and Flaffer team up to bake cookies. Aqua flips through a recipe book step by step, while Flaffer pounds and stirs the dough in a bowl, fighting the mixing like it's a boss battle, sweat flying as she chases the perfect consistency. It's honestly tough, she admits, but Aqua just cheers her on, pushing her to keep going at her own pace. While they keep working, Aqua orders Flaffer to shake the cookies into heart shapes, then picture the person therefore. Flaffer grins and says she'll try as long as she keeps thinking about Lord Forest. Then it hits her again, her chest tightens like something's squeezing the life out of her. She panics that she might be getting sick but then refuses to let the royal palace's chief physician check her out. Aqua steps in and tells her, relax, it's not an illness, you'll be fine. After they're done baking the cookies, they peer through the window to see how it all turned out. Aqua grins and tells Flaffer she did an amazing job, but Flaffer insists it's all because Aqua taught her. Aqua bursts in and says all that's left is baking the cookies, but warns burns are a real threat, so let the royal chefs take over. Later, Flaffer barges into King Force's office and slams into place at his desk, already locked in on the work. She shouts for him and he waves her inside. Right on cue, King Force clocks that it's already tea time and Flaffer beams, saying she's brought a special treat today. He blurts, "What is this?" King Forest stares at the platter loaded with heart-shaped cookies and Flapper brought, then shoots back, "So what are these?" He clocks that the chef grilled the food, then his face lights up. "Wait, did Flaffer make these for me?" Flaffer nods and says, "Yep." King Forest leans in and asks, "So can I eat?" And she grins, "I'd love for you to." King Force chomped into the cookie and immediately blurted that it was delicious. The two of them huddle together over tea and King Force can't help but grin. He feels like the luckiest man alive, already dreaming of the day he'll get to snack on cookies this delicious. Meanwhile, Aqua's lurking right there, telling King Forest that Lady Flaffer is totally fine and that he should keep munching those cookies. Then Flaffer suddenly yelps in pain and King Forest shoots back, demanding to know what's wrong. King Force leans in and tells Flaffer she looks totally wiped out, then offers to feed her, straight up. Flaffer protests, saying he doesn't need to go that far, but before he can finish, there's already a basket of cookies right there as Force asks if she's really going to dig in. Flaffer admits she's hungry and eats anyway, then checks one last time if he's really okay with it. Force answers, "Of course, always." She hesitates, then forced her, "Just open your mouth." He slid a cookie into her hands in that oddly intimate moment, while sparkles swirled all around them and the whole world felt still. King Force tells Flaffer this is his payback and orders her to say "ah," while Flaffer inwardly screams at how humiliating the whole situation is. They stay shoulder to shoulder while the Force keeps hammering into her, feeding her non-stop. Then Flaffer calls out to him, blurting out her thanks, and the moment she starts to look back on everything they've shared so far, her emotions hit like a wave. Then King Force tells Flaffer he'd be happy if she stayed with him forever, declaring they'll be together no matter what, and Flaffer just freezes there, completely wrecked by how moved she is. The scene shows all three of them together, plus Aqua right there with them. Then the panel shuts tight on this breathtaking wide shot of the palace exterior, silhouetted against the sky. Back in the Harvest Kingdom, the royal palace gardens started turning out total trash vegetables, and then the rain just wouldn't quit, day after day. Inside the palace, people were trading rumors about the latest chaos when someone finally blurts out that they spotted Frawl in the Riverside Kingdom, and everyone freezes like they just heard a ghost story. Right after, another voice admits they were certain Frawl was dead, lost in the wasteland gutter. Meanwhile, someone sprawled out napping like the world owes them nothing, while an enraged woman rages and fumes over the fact that they're stuck suffering through all of this. A man crouches in the palace yard, staring at the withered vegetables like they're hiding a secret, and his gut screams that something's very wrong. Out of nowhere, he lunges forward and bites into the vegetable like it's a showdown, and the second he tastes it, he instantly knows. That booming vitality is crystal clear. This is the exact taste of the veggies they used to grow back at the royal palace. A dark-haired figure snaps with pure frustration, realizing the vegetables and even the weather have been powered by Frawl all along, then explodes with a furious curse at the shock of it. Right at the gates of the Harvest Kingdom castle, someone steps up and loudly confirms, "Yep, I'm headed to the Riverside Kingdom." Meanwhile, down in the corridor, everyone's gearing up to leave, then one person worries, "With so few of us, will we be okay?" Another guy grins and says, "Don't sweat it, it's totally fine." Then a dark-haired man with a mustache leans in and says, "We've got to move in total secrecy. This expedition can't go public, or the citizens will realize we're really here to haul back the frail woman we were supposed to exile." Someone leaned in and asked who the riders in that carriage over there were. The cap-wearing guy tells them, "Don't sweat it," claiming his intelligence crew works in the shadows. Then, with a smug smirk, he adds that they're really just the underworld muscle he hired to take them all away. Three hulking, intimidating men stand shoulder to shoulder, yeah, the kind you hire when things get ugly. The guy on the right snaps that this country's in full emergency mode, and it's exactly moments like these when the nation's leader has to act. The cap-wearing one fires back that His Majesty Jarble is the pride of their homeland. Someone else jumps in, urging them to move out, and then a woman says it with a bitter edge, she was fooled way too easily. As the plan clicks into place, the carriage lurches out into the rain. Once they snatch Frawl back, they shove her into the carriage and lock her up the moment they reach the palace dungeon, where she'll have to keep manifesting her holy power until the day she dies. In the carriage, the passenger leans in and tells the driver, "I've only got one question for you. Have you ever felt any kind of charm from someone frail like a woman?" The driver cracks up, saying he's gotta be kidding, he's never seen a woman that hideous in his life. The passenger throws back a laugh too, and even for him she's a hard no, calling her skin and bones and straight-up creepy. The driver nods with wild excitement and insists that even when he accidentally brushed her before, he felt zero interest at all. Meanwhile, those two guys keep laughing and heckling everyone as they ride along. Soon the carriage finally grinds to a stop at its destination, and the streets explode with crowds of people. The two men stare at the scene and one blurts that it feels like they've stepped into a whole new country, then the other shakes his head and says, "Nope, it's just like the Harvest Kingdom we saw a short while ago." They stare down a dazzling spread of fresh veggies and one of them locks on sure as day because those vibrant greens can only mean it. Frail is here and it's definitely coming. At the marketplace, the leader barks at his men that everything is unfolding just as planned, and he flat out tells them he's counting on them. The three men square up with sheer resolve. One of them tells him, "Leave it to us," while another swears through sheer intensity that he'll absolutely land a throw for back. Meanwhile, Flaffer stretches up toward the bright sky, grinning as she breathes out in pure happiness, because this day feels incredible. Flaffer is thriving in the Riverside Kingdom, healing with every day, totally clueless about the danger creeping toward her. Then later she sprawls in the grass, staring up at the sky like it's her calmest moment, amazed at how different her body feels now compared to the Harvest Kingdom. She realizes she'd never noticed that shift if she hadn't come here. Back in Harvest, she just chalked up her sluggish, weak feeling as normal. After a long day of farm work, Flaffer trudges back with Marasha and Aqua, then bursts out, "Today was crazy fun." She feels completely recharged and Marasha flashes a gentle smile to praise her, telling her, "Great job today." Then Aqua blurts out that she'll go grab a carriage, and the other guy nods and agrees. King Forest and Flaffer stand shoulder to shoulder, staring out at the landscape. Then, out of nowhere, someone yells for Lady Flaffer from behind. And Flaffer's face snaps into shock, like he just got hit by the unexpected. Three thugs surge forward with weapons in hand, and someone yells, "Who's there?" Attackers barrel straight for Flaffer, and when the men slam in close, she gasps in pure shock, while guards and bystanders scatter and scramble at the sudden hit. Meanwhile, Marasha screams for Master Flaffer in panic and someone shoots back, "Marasha, are you okay?" A guard stumbles out of his words and there, Flaffer sits on the ground as Aqua clutches him protectively. Marasha stood there as guards closed in on them from every side. Those attackers froze in total confusion, because what just happened felt like pure magic. Later, at Marasha's farm stand, a man from the Harvest Kingdom storms in and demands to know why she won't sell to him, since he's ready to pay. Marasha rushes to apologize, then explains they can't do bulk sales. She points at the vegetables and tells them straight, "These crops are grown for everyone, so you don't get to snatch them all up and hoard them." Then the guy on the right leans in and asks if she's not from this country, and when the man claims they're from the Harvest Kingdom, Marasha just stares and says she sees. Then she hits them with the news of a brand new law: when you leave the country, customs duties get slapped on any vegetables you've brought from here, so the man freezes in shock and blurts out, "Since when did they start that?" Marasha tells them to bring their complaint to the royal palace, then shoots down their hopes by admitting she knows nothing about it at all, leaving the man stuck there, fuming, unable to complete his mission. Back at Marasha's farm, the subordinate crouched by the carriage blurts out, "So what are we doing?" The leader snaps back in a low growl, "Link up with the agents," then storms straight to the palace to negotiate. One of the Harvest Kingdom guys stands there with his arms crossed, pure frustration blazing across his face. He demands what's going on and whether the target's there, but before the group even gets far from the farm, someone blurts out that the whole plan crashed and burned. The subordinate blurts that they finally found it, but the security network is on a whole other level, far beyond anything they expected. The leader snaps awake, realizing they're already trapped in the government's grip, and clenches his fist, vowing they'll have to rewrite the strategy from scratch. Then the leader hands them a special assignment, and swears the reward will climb even higher if they pull it off. Back at the Riverside Palace, panicked voices shout for Lady Flaffer like it's an emergency. In the morning, someone yells to wake Flaffer up and she mumbles back, half asleep. Flaffer thrashes awake and stretches like he owns the morning, then tells Aqua he's just so relieved he woke up feeling amazing. Aqua shoots a question from the doorway, "Did something happen?" And Flaffer nods, saying it truly did and that this twist is way more unexpected than anyone saw coming. Aqua blurts out that King of Harvest is here to visit at this super early hour, and Flaffer's face instantly lights up with pure shock. Aqua yanks Flaffer back with urgency, screaming that she can't take even one step out of this room. Flaffer snaps, "What do you mean, emergency?" and she demands they stop Lord Forest right now. Aqua warns that if Lord Force snaps and they end up in a massive brawl, it'll spell pure disaster. She thinks this trip is all about Lady Flaffer, because if King Jarvel pushes with force and drags her away, then it's game on. You never know what's coming next because she's clocked that King Jarvel, His Majesty will do anything, and I mean anything, to get what he wants. Aqua tells Flaffer, "That's exactly why you need to stay right where you are." Flaffer stares down, clearly panicking, then Aqua snaps out of it and realizes staying here could be way more dangerous. And blurts out to Lady Flaffer in a panic, shouting that they have to reach His Majesty right now. Flaffer asks, "Are you sure this is really okay?" And Aqua snaps back that if it's the kind of bastard who'll use any trick to grab her, they'll snatch her the instant she's peeled away from His Majesty, so she's gotta stay right by the king's side if they're gonna make this kidnapping way harder. Later, Aqua leans in and tells Flaffer she pulled off that call because Lady Furifer helped her, then Flaffer just laughs and says, "Wow, you're way sharper than you look." Aqua blurts out a quick thanks, then declares Lady Furifer's safety is her #1 mission, so yeah, this time she's flat out going to ignore His Majesty's orders. Aqua snaps at Flaffer that she needs to get her priorities straight, change right now because she can't possibly meet another country's king in pajamas, and Flaffer instantly agrees, saying she'll run to get changed immediately. The two barrels through the palace hallways, and when Flaffer whips her head around, her heart drops. King Forest is nowhere to be found. The Harvest Kingdom men slam into the room they think is the right one, and one blurts that the target's probably bolted somewhere else. But the next guy snarls, "Not a chance," because he refuses to let that money slip away and he'll track them down no matter what. While the guards tear through the inside, Flaffer and Aqua realize they just barely escaped, because this whole thing wasn't a mistake at all, they were hunting to capture her. Then one of the guys spots it, gold coins glittering all over the ground. Every last guy's focus snaps somewhere else. One of them blurts, "Forget the kidnapping, this pays way more than the reward we're promised." Another jumps in, "Then just snatch these, bolt," and the driver freezes, totally stunned. Aqua snatches Flaffer and yells that they've got to bolt right now, while Flaffer clutches her precious treasures and wails as they flee. She was fuming that she'd gone through all that trouble just to line them up so perfectly. Later, Force spots Flaffer in the hallway, clamps her in his arms, and blurts out how relieved he is that she's safe. The dark-haired advisor rushes to His Majesty and snaps that an intruder is in Lady Flaffer's room, then grimly adds that the guards should have caught them by now. Forrest tells Aqua he first ordered her to keep Flaffer trapped in that room, but then a chill hit his gut and he just knew it was a bad move. So he slammed the guards into action and sent them to Flaffer's room right away. Meanwhile, Flaffer stews over her precious treasures, so Forrest snaps, "You mean the gold coins?" And Flaffer huffs back, "Yeah, I worked so hard to decorate them so beautifully." Then Forrest stops cold and thinks it through. He's sure the intruder's after Flaffer, not the pile of gold, because nobody would fall for coins just sitting there in plain sight. Without warning, Aqua barrels right up to His Majesty and speaks to him. Aqua bursts in with the news those kidnappers are ditching the whole scheme and slipping out after they manage to scrape together a few gold coins, and Force just stares, totally lost, before saying the guys who tried to kidnap Flaffer were just incompetent. Later on, Force takes the wheel and calls the shots. For now, they should keep this hidden from King Harvest. The dark-haired advisor demands, "Aren't you going to tell the Harvest King we already caught the kidnappers?" But Force snaps that staying silent will give them the edge in the negotiations. Then Force tells Flaffer, "If things go sideways you might have to join these talks," and yeah, it hits fast, but she has to hide who she really is and slip in with the guards. Flaffer's eyes light up as she swears she'll stay perfectly hidden, and she even likens it to hide-and-seek. Meanwhile, Aqua keeps staring and lets out a quiet breath of relief. Lady Flaffer is staying freakishly calm. Aqua snaps to Forrest, "The real trouble is King Jarful, don't let him get under your skin." Forrest nods and assures Flaffer, "As long as you're right here with me, I'll be fine." Then Aqua gives Flaffer a soft little head pat like it's going to protect them both. And then they push through it and squeeze out a frantic flap, until they finally steal a tender moment together. Flaffer catches herself thinking, "I'm not worried about King Jarful, not really," but her heart's pounding like crazy for a totally different reason. She reassures herself Lord Forest is right there with her, so she steels her nerves and believes everything will turn out okay. Force pushes Flaffer and snaps, "We're going now," and the two gear up and head straight for the meeting. Meanwhile, the action slices right to the grand throne room of the Harvest Kingdom. King Jarfel broods on his throne as guards stand shoulder to shoulder, and down the hall, a forced noble from Riverside is marched toward the diplomatic meeting, while Flaffer hides in the guards, watching every move. In the grand throne room of Riverside Kingdom, King Jarfel strides in with his entourage, drops to a bow before King Forest, and blurts that he's genuinely grateful for the warm welcome, even if he arrived out of nowhere. Meanwhile, Flaffer's hidden among the guards in disguise, and the whole situation screams urgent to her. She forces herself to brush it off but watches Lord Force speak with ice calm control, praying it doesn't erupt into a fight. Then the scene keeps rolling as Jarfel jumps right into it. He tells King Forest, "I'm going to be straight with you." He wants to import food from his country, and the whole room goes silent as someone blurts out, "Why?" So Jarfel tells them the Harvest Kingdom is getting slammed by non-stop rain and weird storms even the saints can't overpower, and if this won't stop, they'll run out of food for good. Forrest admits it sounds dead serious, and Jarfel slams down the truth: they've got to find a way to crush this crisis. So they humbled themselves and begged Riverside for the nation's strength. Then Forrest went quiet and started weighing it all. Jarfel then pushes for a trade deal, 1 gold coin for every crate of vegetables, and the second he hears it, he blows up, saying their people only average around 2 gold coins a month, so any higher price is pure nonsense. Forrest shoots back that Riverside has been grabbing veggies from the Harvest Kingdom for 2 gold per crate, then he's already mulling over cutting the deal to half that price. He says their country still can't grow or provide enough food for everyone, so they won't stop until they can trade for a fair price. Jarfel's face twists with worry at this answer, and he mutters that these vegetable negotiations are going to be brutal, unless he can steer the talk toward Flaffer from here, because then this could finally swing his way. He leans in and challenges the price, flat out saying he can't believe anything grown in a place where it only rains could be any good. Then Forrest grins and reassures him, asking if he wants to taste a sample. Jarfel grins and says he's totally confident, then agrees to take some. He bites into the veggies, wails in delight, and shouts that turns out they're way more delicious than he ever expected, so he pauses for a second just to savor the flavor. And pauses, staring in disbelief, because the flavor hits him hard, tasting exactly like the veggies grown back home in his own country. Meanwhile, Flaffer lurks in her secret spot, staring at the scene like, "Usually I'd love it if they praised my veggies, but right now, happiness is gone." Something about this whole mess feels wrong to her. Then Jarfel's whole mood snaps and he blurts out that this is a grave problem, claiming the saint they banished from their country might be hiding somewhere in this land. He explains that the saint back in their country, Flaffer, abused her power, twisting the weather into this nightmare, so Forrest snaps, "What do you mean exactly?" But that hooded figure just keeps hammering his accusation at the exiled saint, while King Jarfel doubles down, claiming this wild, abnormal weather is all Flaffer's fault. Jarfel admits it tore him apart, but there was no way out. He had to banish her from the country, and even in the dungeon he pushed for reflection, only to realize there was no space, not even a chance for any kind of rehabilitation. Then the 3 noble saintesses who'd been riding alongside the Flappers spot the trick instantly and shout, "This is nothing but lies." Still, Jarfel digs in and demands, "So why does Force think the Riverside Kingdom cleared up in the first place?" One advisor from the Force courtsize finally bites back and admits if that's true, then the entire story flips on its head. Jarfel blurts that it's all part of his plan. He claims he meant to trap the Harvest Kingdom by stealing the rain clouds from the Riverside Kingdom and hauling them back to his own land. He fires off a rhetorical question: is it really fair that she gets to hog all the vegetables harvested from those blessings? Jarfel leans in and demands they listen up. His country has 2 rules. From now on, they must hand over half of every vegetable harvest from the Riverside Kingdom to them for free, and the second that criminal Flaffer is spotted, they report it to him on the spot. Jarfel lets out a smug little chuckle at his own ultimatum, and Force can't help but freeze, then asks what's so hilarious. Someone presses him on what he means, and Jarfel, lounging on his throne, deadly calmly says the facts, as he knows them don't match a single thing anyone's showing. Then the counter hits. Force launches into it, saying that when he toured the Harvest Kingdom before, it was so much brighter than his own country back then that it felt unreal. On his way home, he says he made one last rescue. He found a woman on the edge of death, bruised all over, clothes torn to shreds, starving and barely holding on, and then Jarful cuts in asking, "What about it?" But then Forrest leans in and asks what that woman called herself when she woke up a few days later, smirking because Jarful already has the answer. Suddenly, Jarful's face twists with panic as he blurts out, "Who is this woman?" He catches the implication and refuses to believe it could be real. Jarful tries to wave it off, calling it just a made-up tale meant to dodge his demands and insisting he knows nothing about it. But then a Jarful loyalist steps up and swears it's all the truth, and the other guy fires back, demanding what the heck he stands to gain by making up a lie. Calling out that lying to the king of another nation in a meeting is straight-up betrayal. Jarful's advisor fires back that King Forrest has zero proof, and Forrest, still calm, answers the challenge like it's nothing. Jarful starts questioning whether this move is even safe, and then someone presses him, "What are you talking about?" Meanwhile, an advisor leans in and hisses that this could even shake Lord Jopel's position to the core. Jarful snaps back, demanding to know what they think they're talking about. Forrest orders someone to drag her over, and all while someone wonders if she wasn't actually meant to be hiding. Aqua sweeps in and reassures Flaffer hide and seek is done, and now it's time for him to answer every single question they throw his way. Aqua blasts out that every single one of them will stand guard for Lady Flaffer no matter what, and this is the moment to hit back. Flaffer just nods in quiet agreement, but then someone blurts out, this is starting to feel kinda scary, huh?" Then Flaffer strides into view beside the noble saintesses, now unveiled in crisp white ceremonial dresses, and one of them jerks the dress back, practically jingling with a full jar, mumbling that it's been ages. Jarful blurts out, "Who are you?" And Flaffer snaps back, "I'm Forer, the one who's been rotting in the dungeon of my country." Jarful rips back, insisting King Forrest shouldn't lie to him, saying the four who came from his country never had a look like that. Jarful stares off into his thoughts and goes, "If she's really that beautiful, I'd snatch her as my own fiancée." Then the memory hits hard. What he imprisoned wasn't graceful at all. She was scrawny, all bony limbs like a bag of bones. Sure, there's maybe a tiny resemblance, but he refuses to believe it. This has to be someone else. Forrest breaks it down real clean. She's busted out that much energy again. And he keeps hammering the point. When he first found her, she looked totally different from the way she does right now. Someone blurts that this is unbelievable, then Jarful steps in and says, "I've got a question for you." He orders the so-called hero to name the cook who served her right up until her exile and the coachman who carried her off. Flaffer snaps back that she has no idea who they are, because they never bothered to introduce themselves to her. Suddenly, someone spots the guy lurking in the back and blurts out that he's the driver. Then another voice snaps that the old armored man was the one running the food, and the moment hits hard as a character's face drops into shocked disbelief. Flaffer's face snarls with rage as the memory of that driver's reckless driving hits her, making her sick to her stomach that day. And she snaps that she's done holding back, free to say anything she wants now, because once she starts, the accusations come pouring out. The driver dragged her out of the carriage after threatening to kill her if she threw up, so she panicked and jumped out herself, and they just rode off, leaving her there. But wait, food duty was a disaster too, because Fluffer demanded answers. Did he really trample her bread right in front of her and then shove muddy garbage onto her plate? Flaffer can't stop thinking, what else does she know about King Jopel? The two guys from the Harvest Kingdom look totally unsure, asking if it's really working and if they're doing it right. Then Flaffer suddenly lights up, realizes she's got momentum now, and blurts out that they need to tell everyone about His Majesty. She snaps into an outrageously dramatic pose and grins as she declares King Jopel's type is girls with a little extra shape. She'd rather have a plumper girl than someone bonny like her, and the poor male courtier's face twists with pure shock as he blurts out, "Why are you saying this now?" But Flaffer keeps talking, then pauses for half a beat like she just remembered, and with a bright grin she tells us, "That's exactly why I always can't wait to hit Shockin'." The male advisor's face takes over the panel, stretched in pure wide-eyed shock. In the throne room, the tension snaps tight as someone brings up what King Jopel said. Seeing Flaffer first made him swear the brothel would have even higher-level women, and that thought set his blood blazing. Suddenly, Flaffer slams both hands over her mouth, her face creasing with panic as she fights to keep herself from blurting out anything else. At the foot of the stairs, the dark-haired advisor King Forrest and Flaffer huddle together in the gloom, and someone leans in to explain. Jalpal said it was a huge state matter, so every so often he hauled the cooks and coachmen with him too, making everyone think he was taking his duties to the country deadly serious. In that massive throne room, absolute confusion hit out of nowhere. Flaffer then blurts out, "Wait, did I mess up what I said?" But right now, a crowd of people lunges in to stop her, while Flaffer, stammering apologies, blurts that she doesn't really know King Jopal like she claimed. Someone jumps in, saying, "We get it," and begs her to shut her mouth before she says one more thing. Meanwhile, down in the bottom of the panel, male officials and guards start reacting as shocking truths about King Japal hit the scene, and the dark-haired female advisor can't stop herself from thinking that was brutally blunt and terrifying. Court's officials and courtiers all react like the floor just dropped. Someone blurts that if what she said is real, this is a total nightmare. Then another voice snaps back, "If that's true, the coachman definitely won't slide out clean either." And now everyone's side-eyeing her. Are you really for? Her look is completely different, and honestly, she's got the kind of cuteness that feels straight out of an angel's dream. A glowing panel lights up. There's the beautiful Flaffer, while grim coachmen and guards lurk in the background. One person swears it's a setup to frame them, but another voice snaps back and demands the truth. "King Forst, are you telling me she's really not with her?" Jarfal's eyes widen with panic and Forst stays ice calm, saying that if Jarfal doesn't trust them, they'll have to prove it, right now. Then Forst snaps his order, telling his guards to bring in the captives they grabbed earlier. In the throne room, the captured men are dragged out, tied tight, and forced to kneel as someone calls out to King Jarfal, asking why they're being held and reminding him these guys were the intelligence agency he hired. King Jarfal snaps, tells them to shut up, and demands everyone wait for a moment. Down in the fancy throne room, King Force slams the truth. He had those men seized because they were trying to snatch the gold coins scattered all over Flaffer's room, and then he shoots a savage question. Does Jarfal's country's intelligence agency also stoop to petty theft? Right after that, someone else fires back, so they really are intelligence agents. King Jarfal's face goes pale the second the accusation lands. He insists his country's intelligence agents never got any such orders from him. But King Force snaps back that if Jarfal's already claiming they're meant to be executed anyway, he might as well wipe them out right here in Riverside Kingdom. Like that's the most normal idea in the world. Then the light-haired advisor whips around to the bound men and asks, like it's their last breath, if they've got any final words, because they're basically death row now. One of the captured guys snarls a curse, eyes wide, realizing with horror they've been set up by those idiots. The interrogation keeps rolling and someone demands to know every detail of their request this time, while the advisor just stares and says the crimes must be so vicious that both nations had to team up to finally trap them. The bound man in the middle blurts out that he and the others were told to kidnap the criminal Flaffer, and if they pulled it off they'd get 20 gold coins and have their criminal records erased, until rage erupts because those idiots toss the coins around just to pin everything on them as thieves. At the bottom of the scene, someone spots it. Those gold coins are fake, and Flaffer nervously blurts out that she planted them in the room just to look pretty. But the dark-haired advisor steps in and crushes the hope. Those coins are heartbreakingly the real ones. One of the captives finally breaks. He throws his hands up and begs them to just execute him or do whatever they want, while someone nearby goes totally pale, so horrified they can't even speak. In a little side panel, a voice snaps at Flaffer, saying they've warned her a dozen times not to flash those gold coins, but she fights back, insisting they're just so pretty. Then Flaffer's eyes snap into a close-up as she locks onto Lord Jarfold and speaks straight to him. Down below, the polite officials snap into shock, firing off frantic questions. How on earth could King Jarfel hire a monster criminal? Someone blurts that everything so far might have been a lie spun by that war-hungry Flaffer, and that he's the real saint. Then another voice asks if the nasty weather hitting them lately could somehow be King Jarfel's fault. King Jarfel crumples to the floor with shaking breaths and terrified cries, totally crushed by everything he just learned. King Jarvel yells Flaffer's name from his spot, lunges forward in pure drama and demands she hand over the gold coins, then growls at her for not just standing there looking pretty. The scene snaps to a fancy pillow piled high with gold coins and Flaffer lets out this tiny, delighted little sound. Then the camera rockets in on her face as she clutches the coins, grinning like crazy and practically singing, "I'm so happy the gold coins are back." Meanwhile, in Flaffer's room, she drops to all fours and snatches up the scattered gold coins off the floor, one by one. Aqua shoots her a worried stare and calls out to Lady Frawl. Flaffer fires off the question, "You really want to reorganize every single gold coin?" And Aqua shoots back, "Yep, this is the whole plan." Aqua snaps in protest and straight up refuses. She's getting tired, she says. Flaffer pleads with her to help, but Aqua digs in her heels and answers with a hard no. She hopes this finally teaches Flaffer that gold coins aren't just for show, yet Flaffer snaps back, saying the bad guys got caught and peace is back, until someone yells, "They're coming." King Forest bursts in at the doorway and calls Flaffer over, saying he's got something he absolutely needs to talk about. King Forest asks if Flaffer is lining them up again, and Flaffer grins and says she absolutely needs it for the room's decoration. Then King Forest just says, "I see." King Forest snaps at Aqua, asking if she's just going to stand there and do nothing, but Aqua refuses to approve of the move. Then King Forest turns to Flaffer and promises to back her up. Aqua snaps, "Is His Majesty even in his right mind?" And King Forest cuts in fast, "Don't say that, because that gold coin is the reason Flaffer got saved." King Force says he really hopes so, but he's convinced something like that won't ever happen again. And back in the throne room, guards drag the bound criminals off, but one guy thrashes and screams at the idiots to let him go. Then an advisor corners King Jopple and warns him that no matter which way he turns, this problem can't be ignored, while a Harvest Kingdom official snaps at the criminals, telling them they'll be sent back to their country and hit with the punishment they've earned. Outside the palace gates, guards haul the men away while King Jopple blurt out a real apology, swearing he's heartbroken this is how things turned out. But King Force orders them to drag these villains back too, because if they don't, their country will lose all dignity, no question. Then his advisor blurts, "Are you sure?" King Forest spells out the deal. They have to step on stage and declare that Fora is a real saint, one who helps the Harvest Kingdom and unmasks Lord Jopple's dirty crimes. If they say yes, he'll agree to swap vegetables later, and one of the men instantly goes wide-eyed in shock. Then the guards dropped into a deep bow before King Forest and Flaffer on the palace steps, swearing they'd carry it out for sure, like thanks was the first word. But then Flaffer snaps to it, this conversation might already be slipping toward the end. And one of the guards blurts out that at this pace, they won't even be able to haul the vegetables home right away. Then King Force senses something, off, presses Flaffer for answers, but Flaffer cuts him off and begs him to hold on for just a moment. Flaffer lays it out. The Harvest Kingdom is drowning in food shortages, and she knows exactly how it feels to crumple from hunger, so she presses, "So there's truly no way we can share even a little." King Force snaps in frustration as the guards do nothing but wait, and meanwhile Flaffer lets out a tiny hopeful laugh. Then Flaffer blurts out that just this once it's not a trade at all, it's pure support. She says the Royal Garden's harvest will be ready any minute and they can take every single bit of it with them. The three guards burst with overwhelming gratitude and shower them with endless thanks. Later on, in the palace hallway, the guards stride off with the provisions and someone finally questions King Forest. "Are you really sure about this?" King Forest just shrugs and says it's fine because it was Flaffer's heartfelt wish after all.